Xiang Beifei couldn't be bothered to care about Lu Qianrou's reaction. Originally, he hadn't planned to have any interaction with Lu Qianrou. It was Lu Qianrou who had intended to seek him out as a backup plan, running into the line of fire herself. He simply went along with it casually to grab some system rewards or something. Xiang Beifei walked to a queue with fewer people, where only 2 people were waiting in line ahead of him. Both of them were engrossed in their system interfaces, paying no attention to Xiang Beifei. He glanced at their systems. Xiang Beifei then looked at another person's system, that slightly curly-haired fat girl from Class 4. He didn't know her name, but because of her weight, people often made fun of her behind her back, so he remembered her vaguely. Her system had awakened to become an N-level calorie burning system. You walked 2 kilometers, burning 110 calories of your own, plus 110 calories. You walked 2 laps around the track field with Lu Ping, helping her burn 44 calories, plus 44 calories. Her system involved collecting calories that could be exchanged for corresponding rewards. The girl was very heavy, at least 200 pounds, but with this system, as long as she worked hard for the system, it would be hard not to lose weight. Although she was terribly heavy now, she obviously had potential. Burning calories and helping others lose weight could also make her stronger. Not opening a gym would be a missed opportunity. The boy in front of him had awakened to an R-level escort across the world system, which looked very impressive. Escort across the world? Like an escort mission? Xiang Beifei pondered what this system entailed. He had seen martial arts movies after all. To know that ancient couriers had quite the swagger. They performed escort missions, retrieved and fought over lost valuables, and sparred with bandits using wits and bravery. Absolutely thrilling and blood-pumping. He glanced at the mission interface. The other party had already completed a mission. Delivered homework from the classroom to the teacher's office, escort value +1. Huh? Moving homework was referred to as escort, all dressed up like that? Wait a second. Suddenly, he thought, wouldn't this escort system make a fortune in delivery services? Well, hey, this would be the future tycoon of the courier industry. As Xiang Beifei reflected, he continued to scan the systems of other students. Most R-level and N-level systems were pretty quirky, but he knew that the truly powerful systems were definitely S-level. Like the guy who just arrived not far away, named Qi Bin from Class 3. He had awakened to an S-level summoning monster system. Qi Bin's mission involved defeating desolate beasts, subjugating them, and then summoning them for his own battles. This person's system was clearly much stronger than others, a real combat-oriented system. Without thinking, one could tell that Qi Bin was headed down the martial path, set to be a pioneer, battling in the outer desolate lands. However, Qi Bin was currently chatting merrily with Lu Qianrou. He had inadvertently become another potential backup for Lu Qianrou. TSK. Be cautious in your dealings. Xiang Beifei shook his head. The achievements of those with S-level systems were limitless in the future, but Lu Qianrou was close to having all the school's S-level guys in her pocket, which was terrifying. There were only 21 S-level system awakeners in the school, and Xiang Beifei had already gotten a brief grasp on them. But to witness more S-level systems, one would have to go to one of the 9 elite universities. At that moment, a refined old man walked through the crowd, and many stopped in their tracks, looking at the elder with respect. "Good day, Principal." The students hurried to greet him. Principal Li Nanxing is highly respected. He is approachable, treats students with kindness and patience, and is dearly loved by them. Xiang Beifei looked towards Principal Li Nanxing and then felt a bit surprised. Host: Li Nanxing, S-Class, Confucian Saint System, Realm, late stage of Meridian opening, current prestige value, 158185544. Yesterday, Xiang Beifei was unable to see Li Nanxing's realm and system tasks, but today he could actually see them. Xiang Beifei seemed to understand. Yesterday he was just an ordinary person, but today he was already a qi-controlling cultivator. In other words, the people he could see were, at most, one major realm stronger than him. "Good morning, Principal." Lu Qianrou and Qi Bin, who were talking, also hurriedly greeted Li Nanxing. Even though they were S-class awakeners, they did not dare to act big in front of the principal, as the principal was also an S-class with much greater strength than them. "Ah, hello there. Don't be formal, I'm just passing by. Keep up the good work, reflect on your problems, and feel free to ask questions to your counselors. As teachers, we're here to help clear up any confusion," Li Nanqing said with a smile, nodding to Qi Bin and Lu Chenro, both of whom were S-class awakeners he recognized. With proper nurture, they were bound to become pillars of the alliance in the future. Understood. Qi Bin and Lu Chenro nodded obediently. Even Lu Chenro did not dare to misbehave. Her backup system could not take anything from those stronger than herself, and of course, she would not dare to target the principal. I'll say it again, the talent from awakening is secondary. What truly determines the future is your attitude. Whether it's an N-class system or an S-class, as long as you work hard, it's hard to say who will surpass whom in the future. Li Nanqing encouraged those students with lesser talents, telling them that as long as they were earnest, anyone could make a breakthrough. Many students were greatly inspired, especially those with N-class systems. After being addressed by the principal in such a manner, they all perked up, their faces filled with gratitude. After awakening to N-class systems yesterday, these students were disappointed, not just themselves, but even some parents were disappointed in them. But at least the principal hadn't given up on them. Just as Li Nanqing was about to leave, his gaze swept across the room and suddenly landed on Xiang Beifei standing in a corner. He saw Xiang Beifei frowning deeply and thought of something, sighing softly in his heart. Is this child losing hope for the future? Well, anyone would probably find it hard to handle such a situation. His gaze flickered for a moment before he walked towards Xiang Beifei, smiling and patting him on the shoulder before asking, "Student, can you come with me for a moment?" Xiang Beifei looked up at Li Nanqing somewhat unexpectedly. "Are you calling for me, principal?" "Yes, come to my office." Li Nanqing walked ahead with his hands clasped behind him. Xiang Beifei hesitated, and although he did not understand why Li Nanqing was summoning him, he still followed. As they left, the other students immediately started discussing. "I recognize him. Isn't that Xiang Beifei, who almost became UR class yesterday? The principal actually called him to the office? Is he getting special treatment?" "What special treatment? If anyone's to get special attention, shouldn't it be the S-class geniuses? Look, Lu Chenro and Qi Bin are right here." "That's true. It must be psychological counseling. Are they afraid he might commit suicide from despair?" "Ha ha ha. Yeah. Such a drastic fall is tragic. He's also pitiable. Probably it's the shock. Imagine if he committed suicide later because of a mental breakdown, the school would have to take responsibility. The principal is probably trying to prevent such a bad omen from happening." Many looked upon Xiang Beifei with sympathy. Lu Chenro and Qi Bin also frowned slightly, feeling a bit envious. Having a one-on-one talk with the principal was a very rare opportunity. But what the others said made sense. If the principal wanted to give special treatment, he would have looked for those S-class individuals. They assumed it was indeed for psychological counseling. The principal's office was stark, with a neat pile of documents on a white wooden desk and a silver ornament beside them, featuring a majestic lion standing on a cliff, the emblem of Luhe High School. The teacup on the desk was still slightly steaming. Many pennants hung on the wall behind, along with some photographs. The people in the photos all looked extraordinary, seemingly elites from various professions. Beifei recognized a few who were shaking hands with the principal, but he couldn't recall who they were at the moment. Everything in the office was well organized and comforting to look at. It was Xiang Beifei's first visit to the principal's office. He didn't have much of an impression of Principal Li Nanqing. He just discreetly observed the principal's system, checking past system tasks the principal had undertaken. "Please sit, don't be tense," Li Nanqing said with a smile. Xiang Beifei sat down, feeling puzzled. He had thought Principal Li Nanqing summoned him for some system task that would start with him. But there was nothing on the principal's system task list that involved him. So what did he want from him? "Are you doing all right?" Li Nanqing asked from his chair, looking at him gently. I'm fine, Beifei replied. Li Nanqing smiled, saying, I called you here today for nothing serious. Don't be nervous. Just to offer you a system school selection consultation. System consultation? Xiang Beifei was confused. S-ranked Lu Qianrou and Qi Bin hadn't been directly approached by the principal, so why single him out? Li Nanqing looked at Xiang Beifei and said, I happen to have some time to give you some guidance. Do you have any questions about your awakened system? Xiang Beifei pondered for a moment, sizing up Li Nanqing's system again to confirm there were no tasks concerning him, then said, Principal, I want to know if there are any restrictions for entering one of the 9 elite universities? Is it just scoring well enough, or does one need to awaken a certain level of system? 9 elite universities? Li Nanqing was slightly startled. He hadn't expected Beifei to ask about the entry requirements for elite universities instead of something about the system. He had already reviewed Beifei's academic scores, which were dismal. It was doubtful he could even make it to university, let alone his status as an N-level system awakener, where talent itself is a threshold. Li Nanqing thought for a moment and asked, Your first system task isn't requiring you to get into an elite university, is it? An N-level system can be troublesome, sometimes setting up tasks that don't follow any conventional logic. Giving the host a task to get admitted into an elite university isn't unheard of. Xiang Beifei was surprised that the principal would ask this, but it was a convenient excuse. He went with the flow and said, Yes, my system task is troublesome indeed, so I really want to know how to get into an elite university. This? Li Nanqing felt overwhelmed. It was just a casual question. He hadn't expected Beifei's initial system task to be so difficult. He hesitated for a moment and slowly said, Getting into an elite university isn't easy. Most elite universities set a threshold for talent, with a minimum requirement being R-level awakeners. S-level is quite common, N-level system awakeners. Hardly any. Even if the academic scores are sufficient? Beifei asked. Li Nanqing looked troubled and said with a bitter smile, Each university has its own admissions policy. Training students, well, elite university courses are rather difficult. R-level awakeners already find it tough, let alone N-level. So, there's no hope at all? Not even a slight possibility? Xiang Beifei asked. That's not necessarily true. Li Nanqing slowly said, Elite universities all have talent thresholds. That's true. But there is one elite university that does not, and that is Liangzhou University. Does Liangzhou University allow N-level awakeners to enroll? Yes. You should have heard of our governor of Liangzhou, Shang Tianqiong? Li Nanqing spoke of Shang Tianqiong with quite some emotion. He is an N-level system awakener and a legend of his generation because he graduated from Liangzhou Martial Arts College with sheer perseverance. Liangzhou University does not set a talent threshold. As long as your scores are sufficient, N-level students can also enroll, but N-level students need to pass their entrance test. How many N-level students have enrolled at Liangzhou University over the years? Xiang Beifei asked. Not many. Li Nanqing slightly shook his head. We can say, it is even rarer than SR system awakeners. System awakeners from the SR system are 1 in tens of thousands. This year, their school had no SR system awakeners at all. Yet, in this world, N-levels are everywhere. However, in reality, within elite universities, the number of N-level awakeners is even lower than SR awakeners. This clearly shows that even for a university like Liangzhou University, which does not limit entry thresholds, it is nearly impossible for the lowest N-level awakeners to get into an elite university, as challenging as reaching the heavens. In places filled with elites, if your talent is not up to par, you don't even qualify to be counted. Xiang Beifei, however, isn't concerned about these matters. Since Liangzhou University is the only elite university without a talent threshold, he needs to set his sights on Liangzhou University. Principal, after getting into Liangzhou University, are there any scholarships or loans available? I heard the tuition is very expensive. If possible, I need to find a part-time job at school, Xiang Beifei said. Li Nanqing was taken aback again upon hearing Xiang Beifei's words. From the tone of this child, it seemed he had already assumed he would be accepted into Liangzhou University. He even planned how to make a living after entering the school. Was this child not understanding his point, or was he too arrogant? Suddenly, Li Nanqing realized that Xiang Beifei might not be as hopeless as he seemed yesterday when he awakened, nor was he about to give up on life. On the contrary, this child was filled with confidence for the future. Could it be because of the system? But that's impossible. As an educator, he knew all too well how bad the N-level system was. It's not that everyone can have great perseverance and become a legend like Shang Tianxiong. Xiang Beifei's grades had always been at the bottom, and now with only 2 months left, to reverse his fortunes to the scoreline required by elite universities in such a short time was a mere fantasy. Even with the help of the system, if an N-level system could so easily help someone become elite within 2 months, it wouldn't be called an N-level system. You seem very confident about getting into Liangzhou University? Li Nanqing's perception of Xiang Beifei gradually changed. Isn't it what you said? No one should give up hope. With efforts, even an N-level system can break through the heavens. Having dropped from UR level to N level, I've already experienced a disaster. What more do I have to lose? If I don't take my chances now, when should I wait? Xiang Beifei began to ramble, but he was serious. Li Nanqing's eyes lit up. What a resolve to take a chance. Xiang Beifei's words seemed to reignite the long-dormant passion in his heart. There was a time when he too was full of ambition, striving to become a Confucian sage. Although he has only become a high school principal now, he has never slacked off and continues to strive for improvement. In Xiang Beifei, Li Nanqing seemed to see his own past. Excellent. Very well. This child can be taught. Li Nanqing laughed heartily and said, if your scores reach the admission threshold of Liangzhou University, then I will be your guarantor. Don't worry about student loans or jobs. I too graduated from Liangzhou University and still know some people there. The principal just said that Liangzhou University requires N-level awakeners to undergo a test when they enroll. What exactly is this test? Xiang Beifei asked. It's hard to say, but the test will definitely be related to the university courses to ensure that N-level awakeners can keep up. I'll inquire about it next time I visit, Li Nanqing said. Thank you, Principal. I don't have any more questions for now. I'll be going back. Xiang Beifei stood up, ready to leave. Hold on. Li Nanqing got up and looked at his system panel. In his Confucian Saint system, there was also a shop where prestige value could be exchanged for corresponding rewards. His gaze searched the shop for a moment. Then, with a grand gesture, he already had 2 small jade bottles in his hand. Here, take these. Li Nanqing handed the small jade bottles to Xiang Beifei. Xiang Beifei looked at the 2 small jade bottles with surprise. He saw the prompt from the Confucian Saint system. Qi Condensing Pill X10, 2,000 prestige value. Forgetting Dust Pill X50, 3,000 prestige value. These are, Xiang Beifei said, puzzled. I'm not sure what method of cultivation your system provides, so I can't arbitrarily help you. But these 2 items are aids for cultivation and learning, and anyone can use them, Li Nanqing explained. The Qi Condensing Pill can be used to gather the surrounding spiritual energy, allowing you to attract the nearby spiritual energy to yourself while cultivating, doubling the efficacy. This is the Forgetting Dust Pill. If you want to study or cultivate seriously, you can light a Forgetting Dust Pill to create an ideal learning environment. Items from the system can be traded or given away, but because each person's system attributes are unique and awakened to fit the individual, they are not interchangeable with others. Most of the items provided by a system can only be used by oneself. Others cannot use them. Only a part can be shared with others, such as these pills that aggregate surrounding spiritual energy or shield against environmental disturbances. They are not for transforming oneself but for creating an environment. But why? Xiang Beifei asked, puzzled. He and the principal had never had personal contact before. They were complete strangers, and he couldn't understand why Li Nanqing would give him such items. Actually, after what happened yesterday, I specifically looked up your family background in the records and found out that your parents were pioneers who died on a mission, Li Nanqing said reflectively. Pioneers are the most noble profession in this world, and everyone who sacrifices deserves respect. His gaze complicated. He continued, "Then I discovered that I actually knew your father." "My father?" Xiang Beifei was very surprised. "Yes." Li Nanqing pointed to a photograph on the wall and explained, "Your father also studied at this school, and he awakened an SR-level talent. Look here." He pointed to an old photograph, slightly yellowed, taken on the school's playground. About a dozen people were in the photo, Li Nanqing in the center with Xiang Beifei's father in the second row. Xiang Beifei hadn't looked closely earlier and had overlooked it. Luhe High School 100th Anniversary Alumni Meeting. Li Nanqing sighed and added, "The people in this photo are all SR System Awakeners from different years. The anniversary celebration managed to gather all 12 SR Awakeners from various years. SR Awakeners are extremely rare, 1 in 1,000, typically appearing every 2 or 3 years. This year, Luhe High School has not seen a single SR appear. Gathering all 12 SR Awakeners at once could only have been achieved during such an event as the anniversary celebration." Xiang Beifei stared at his young father in the photo, who looked to be about 20 years old. He knew that his father was named Xiang Tianxing, but that was all he really knew. His memories weren't particularly plentiful. He had been raised by his grandfather, his parents being too busy and seldom home. Even when they were home, it was just a fleeting glimpse, barely speaking before they left again. Until a mission 4 years ago, after which his parents never returned home again. Ultimately, he was influenced by the memories of his former life, and some emotions were still there. At the time of the centennial school celebration, you had not been born yet. Afterwards, because of your father's job, I never contacted him again, and I had no idea his son had grown so much. Li Nanqing sighed. "No matter what, I am giving you these 2 things. You must work hard, just as you said. Go for it with all you've got." Xiang Beifei looked at Li Nanqing's system interface. Prestige value: 157135544. 5,000 points were deducted. Li Nanqing's realm was in the late meridian opening stage, just a step away from the God-refining realm. He needed to use the God-refining pill to help himself break through to the God-refining realm. Purchasing 1 God-refining pill required 16 million prestige points. He was still short by nearly 290,000. The higher the strength, the more arduous the system tasks, the harder it was to elevate one's realm. Every prestige point was extremely precious to Li Nanqing, who usually accumulated them very cautiously. It had taken him 10 years to save up these 15 million prestige points. He had reached the late meridian opening stage 10 years ago, and had not been able to advance a single step further since then. Unexpectedly, for Xiang Beifei's sake, he was actually willing to spend 5,000 prestige points. This was indeed a generous gesture. Understand this, even though Xiang Beifei had awakened the system yesterday, adding only 10 prestige points to Li Nanqing, and an S-grade awakener is only worth 1,000 points. Xiang Beifei valued these 2 items very much because they were much more powerful than the system rewards given to Lu Qianrou and the others, enough to illuminate the constellations. "Thank you, Principal," Xiang Beifei said. "No need for thanks, go back now, and do not mention this matter to anyone else, or they will accuse me of favoritism." Li Nanqing waved his hand. "Understood." Xiang Beifei pondered for a moment, didn't say much, and turned to leave the office. Li Nanqing watched Xiang Beifei's retreating figure. This young man gave him a very special feeling. Even after experiencing such significant ups and downs yesterday, he faced them calmly. He seemed unconcerned with the fact his system was N-grade. It's rare to find someone with such a mentality. I know it's impossible for you to get into an elite university this year, but with your positive attitude, perhaps if you retake the exam for 3 or 4 more years, a miracle might happen. Li Nanqing admired Xiang Beifei's ambition, but he was not optimistic about his performance this year. Even Xiang Tianxiong, the governor of Liangzhou, had to retake the exams for 4 years to get into Liangzhou University. Thick and thin hair. Only then did he pass the N-grade awakener test set by Liangzhou University. No one had the perseverance like Xiang Tianxiong. Li Nanqing was willing to spend 5,000 prestige points to help Xiang Beifei complete the first system task for a reason. Back when Xiang Beifei's father awakened the SR system, he had only recently become principal. An SR Awakener appearing in his school brought him a huge increase in prestige points, which allowed him to break through at a crucial moment. Moreover, Xiang Tianxing had an excellent reputation in the alliance and, all told, had brought him many prestige points, far more than just these 5,000. In a sense, Xiang Beifei's father had also done him a favor. If Xiang Beifei failed, then consider these 5,000 prestige points a way to commemorate Xiang Tianxing. Xiang Beifei learned for the first time that his father had been an SR-level awakener. He also understood that Li Nanxing had given him these two items likely because of the prestige value his father had gained when awakening his SR system, and now it was a form of repayment to him. But to be honest, Li Nanxing didn't owe Xiang Beifei anything. His Confucian Saint system wasn't obtained through plundering. Li Nanxing's Confucian Saint system, like Yang Hua's Master Dao system, had the marvelous quality of instructing and solving doubts for others. The difference was that Li Nanxing chose to strengthen himself by properly educating his students, truly considering their needs, cultivating them into talents, and gaining system prestige through their achievements later on. Yang Hua, on the other hand, chose to criticize his students to increase his teacher's prestige value, always pointing out their faults. Thus, the breadth of their spirits differed. One could say that Principal Li Nanxing was truly a paragon of teachers. If an N-level system student were admitted to an elite university, I wonder how much prestige value that would bring? Xiang Beifei pondered. Qi condensing pills and forgetting dust pills. Xiang Beifei indeed needed these two items right now. Not to create a learning environment, but to activate his astrological points. As for improving his cultural studies grades, that was not difficult for him. Xiang Beifei left the principal's office and headed to the classroom. The hallway was still bustling with students. Many senior year students queuing up, waiting for system school selection consultation. Soon, he spotted Kong Shouwen amidst the crowd. Kong Shouwen had just come out from a consultation room, excitedly talking to Lu Qianrou. Xiang Beifei felt that something was amiss and glanced at Lu Qianrou's system interface, furrowing his brows slightly. You have gained an S-level potential backup. Backup value at 30. Had Kong Shouwen unwittingly fallen into a trap? Lu Qianrou had now gathered 30 backup values, enough to exchange for a secret manual on training body techniques. Yet she hadn't rushed to exchange it, instead conversing with Kong Shouwen like a sweet, dependent bird, continuously plundering from Kong Shouwen. You're still here, hurry up. I have something to talk to you about. Come this way. Xiang Beifei grabbed Kong Shouwen and started walking back, to prevent him from being completely drained by Lu Qianrou. Then let's talk after school, bye. Kong Shouwen didn't forget to turn back and wave goodbye to Lu Qianrou while being pulled away by Xiang Beifei. All right, Shouwen. I'll wait for you after school. Lu Qianrou spoke softly. Kong Shouwen, being an S-level awakener, had certainly gained a lot just now. After walking a distance, Xiang Beifei finally said to Kong Shouwen, "Listen to my advice. Don't interact too much with Lu Qianrou." Kong Shouwen found it odd and said, "I always feel like something's off with you. Just now when Lu Qianrou greeted me, you deliberately interrupted, and now you're telling me not to interact with her. Ah, I get it, you wouldn't happen to like her. Do you? Xiang Beifei? Are you worried that I'll steal the girl you like?" Kong Shouwen eyed Xiang Beifei with a strange look. Xiang Beifei's mouth twitched. How would his brain have to be wired for him to like an awakener like Lu Qianrou? Lu Qianrou had been watching her system interface all along, and at this moment, a new message appeared. Two potential backups are fighting over you out of jealousy. You have plundered the personal charm of an S-level potential backup, your personal charm plus 20. You've plundered the charm of an N-level potential backup, your charm value plus 1. Heh, what a couple of fools. They turn against each other after just a few words. Lu Qianrou looked at her system panel and chuckled with pride. This system is just too easy to use. Even jealousy over a backup can boost her own value. She would love nothing more than for Xiang Beifei and Kong Shouwen to come to blows. At that moment, she suddenly saw Qi Bin walking towards her. What if 3 backups were jealous over me? Wouldn't that increase the system values even more? Lu Qianru plotted in her heart as she walked towards Qi Bin. Don't think too much. I don't have any feelings for her, Xiang Beifei said. Come on. Lu Qianru is at least the belle of the year. What's so embarrassing about admitting you like her? Kong Xiuwen's eyes rolled as he continued. But she is indeed beautiful. No wonder you're tempted. A twitch appeared at the corner of Xiang Beifei's mouth. Am I tempted by her as a person? But Kong Xiuwen slapped Xiang Beifei's shoulder in a carefree manner, saying, Don't worry about it. We're like brothers. Since you admire Lu Qianru, as your brother, I can't possibly steal her from you. All right, then I won't compete with you for her. Xiang Beifei pressed his hand to his forehead, feeling quite vexed. Kong Xiuwen had been his playmate since childhood, and with his tall and strong build, he used to stand up for Xiang Beifei whenever someone bullied him in school. They were very close. When he said that, it couldn't be false. Anyway, it's best if you refrain from chatting with Lu Qianru in the future. Xiang Beifei didn't go into details. Understood, we're about to go to college soon. The outside world is full of beauty and splendor. No need to dwell on the high school belle. I'll cut off this thought right now, all right? Though, I think you should be psychologically prepared after all. She is... Kong Xiuwen hadn't finished his words when suddenly an angry voice came from behind. You two are also worthy of liking someone as noble as Qianru? Can't you even take a good look at yourselves in the mirror? Xiang Beifei and Kong Xiuwen both turned their heads. It was Qi Bin. This guy had awoken the S-level summoning monster system, a very domineering and powerful system. Although he hadn't defeated a desolate beast yet, he was already an awakener in the Qi-controlling realm, given the S-level system's easy entry tasks. Just now, Lu Qianru had told him that two clueless guys were getting handsy with her, and with his volatile temper, hearing that made him instantly furious. Lu Qianru had even given him the card for the Green Light hotel room for tonight. And now two guys dared to cause trouble? How could he tolerate that? Qi Bin sneered as he stared at Xiang Beifei. I remember you. You're the one who went from a genius to a waste yesterday. Lu Qianru is an S-level awakener. Do you really think you stand a chance at winning her favor? With your N-level system, who we like is none of your damn business. Kong Xiuwen stepped forward, instinctively shielding Xiang Beifei behind him. He knew the other was an awakener in the Qi-controlling realm, and since Xiang Beifei was just an ordinary person, he couldn't let Qi Bin harm him. But Qi Bin showed no intention of getting physical, as cameras were everywhere in the school, and any conflicts couldn't be settled there. I'm just warning some people not to be delusional about aiming too high. Better weigh themselves first. Qi Bin loomed threateningly over Xiang Beifei. Xiang Beifei realized something and inadvertently turned his head. Sure enough, there was Lu Qianru not far away, enjoying the spectacle. 3 backups are feeling jealous and fighting for you. You've snatched a level S backups charm, and your charm plus 20. A fool's troop really kills me. I've sold them out, and they're still counting money for me. This intelligence really needs a recharge. Lu Qianru was feeling incredibly smug inside. Others feeling jealous and vying for her indicated that she was charming and able to manipulate these backups at will. You all go on and argue. The more noise, the better. I'll just collect my rewards. Lu Qianru's backup value had reached 30, and she could receive a secret manual for body method cultivation. Once she successfully cultivated it, she could plunder more from these backups the next time they argued or when she spoke to them. Your backup value is 30. Would you like to claim your reward for this stage? Of course, it wasn't easy to fool a bunch of idiots. Lu Qianru said impatiently. Reward has been distributed. Please check. Lu Qianru excitedly stared at her hands. 1 minute later, empty-handed, her smile suddenly froze. System, where's my body method's secret manual? Lu Qianru asked. Reward has been distributed. Please begin cultivation as soon as possible to become stronger, the system advised warmly. Lu Qianru searched every corner around her, but could not find her reward. No, something didn't add up. The first system reward yesterday was delivered directly into her hands. So why did today's reward disappear? System. Where have you distributed my reward? Lu Qianruo asked hurriedly. Reward has been distributed to the host's hands. Please begin cultivation. Lu Qianruo was furious. Distributed? Distribute to your great-uncle. Lu Qianruo almost jumped on the spot. But no matter how she explained, the system kept giving the same warm reminder, baffling her completely. Just moments ago, she was mocking those three for counting money for her after she had sold them out. But now, where was her money? Where had it been counted to? At this moment, her system interface displayed another line. You've lost an S-level potential backup. Backup value -1. You've lost an N-level potential backup. Backup value -1. Lu Qianruo's gaze immediately turned stormy upon seeing her system interface. The two potential backups she lost undoubtedly had to be Kong Shouwen and Xiang Beifei. These two actually no longer admired her and had left the backup category. Wait, why are such strange things happening today? First, the system reward wasn't properly distributed, and now I've lost two backups. Lu Qianruo was a shrewd girl. She quickly calmed down and pondered over the situation. She was aware that she wasn't the only one with a system in this world. Others had them too. What the systems of others were capable of, she didn't know. Everyone had been taught since childhood to keep their systems a secret, making it difficult to pry secrets out of someone. But the capabilities of systems are always surprising. If someone used a system to steal her system reward, it wasn't impossible. Then the prime suspect would most likely be one of those three. Lu Qianruo began to analyze the situation from the beginning to the end. Having been smart since she was young, more mature in thinking than her peers, adept at reading people's expressions and languages, she always considered everything when thinking through a problem, able to spot any clue to unravel bizarre occurrences. Any experienced mystery-solving expert should learn to use the process of elimination skillfully when addressing a problem. So, Xiang Beifei, the first to be ruled out, an N-level system awakener, she wouldn't believe for a second that he could claim a reward from her S-level system. System levels have a hierarchy, and it's a law that an S-level cannot be plundered by an N-level. Kong Shouwen might be suspicious since he's also S-level. But both Kong Shouwen and Xiang Beifei had left her backup range, meaning they no longer held admiration for her in their hearts. So Kong Shouwen could be ruled out too. An answer closest to the truth was on the verge of bursting forth in Lu Qianruo's mind. Qi Bin. Lu Qianruo glowered at the figure of Qi Bin. She didn't know what Qi Bin's system was, but his being an S-level system awakener was common knowledge. To stealthily steal her S-level system reward, only another S-level system awakener could manage such a feat. The course of events must have been as follows. Qi Bin, spurred by her, went to find Kong Shouwen and Xiang Beifei, but turned the tables instead. In order to gain her trust, he acted swiftly, revealing his methods and, with his powerful aura, he managed to intimidate both Kong Shouwen and Xiang Beifei. Kong Shouwen and Xiang Beifei, knowing their limits, no longer dared to harbor improper thoughts about her. Thus, she lost two potential backups. Qi Bin had agreed so readily just now, seemingly recklessly seeking out Kong Shouwen and Xiang Beifei, but in reality, it was very likely a mission assigned by Qi Bin's own system. If she could plunder others' abilities, then others could plunder hers as well. Perhaps it was a switching the beams with pillars system? Maybe a deceiving heaven and crossing the sea system? Lu Qianruo couldn't be certain, but what she could affirm was, Qi Bin was definitely undertaking a mission involving her. Lu Qianruo reviewed the situation once more. Such meticulous logical analysis, without any flaws. It must be Qi Bin. Damn it. I always thought Qi Bin was simple-minded. I never expected him to be so cunning. Lu Qianruo clenched her fists. She had been too careless. Originally, she just wanted to make the three backups argue among themselves and harvest a wave of personal charm. But she had inadvertently fallen into a trap. What to do now? I have already given him the hotel room card for tonight. But having been played by this scheming man, can I still go tonight? Lu Qianruo was extremely annoyed in her heart. Her system could plunder the backup's abilities, even with a minor contact like a handshake, let alone other methods of more extensive contact. Originally, she had planned to go to the hotel tonight, first with Chi Bin, then with Chi Bin, and finally with Chi Bin, but she had not expected this Chi Bin to be such a tough nut to crack. Was he possibly waiting to deal with her tonight? This was bad. Lu Chenro's mind was in chaos for a moment. My eyes will always be on you too. Chi Bin looked down at Xiang Beifei and Kong Xiuwen with supreme arrogance. Oh? Is that so? Kong Xiuwen was not one to back down, ready to throw back some harsh words, but Xiang Beifei shook his head, pulling him away. What are you afraid of? He's clearly bullying you. I'm also S-level. Am I supposed to be afraid of him too? I said it, I have your back. Why are you being so timid? Kong Xiuwen, while being pulled away, was visibly resentful. The college entrance exam is nearing. Avoiding trouble is better than seeking it. Xiang Beifei discreetly pocketed the secret book on body technique cultivation. You can't go on like this, being fearful of everything. If we end up at different universities, who will stand up for you then? Kong Xiuwen shook his head with resignation. I'm already worried about you. Without me to cover for you, I don't know how much you'll be bullied in university. Will I be bullied? Xiang Beifei shrugged. I'm just an N-level awakener. Being cautious is not a bad thing. Xiang Beifei walked to the railing of the second-floor staircase and looked down. From this angle, he could see Lu Chenro very well. He squinted at Lu Chenro's system panel and, noting that Kong Xiuwen was no longer her backup, he felt somewhat relieved. When Xiang Beifei saw Chi Bin coming over, he had felt something was off, so he quickly disengaged from being a backup, just going with the flow. Luckily, he knew about other people's systems and could choose whether or not to participate in their system tasks. Kong Xiuwen, for the sake of his childhood friend, had indeed cut off his thoughts of Lu Chenro, which was crucial. Otherwise, who knows what trouble this guy might end up in one day. As for the personal charm that Kong Xiuwen lost, he was going to be bald in the future anyway, and as he would lose hair, his charm would keep dropping, so he might as well give it to Lu Chenro. But come to think of it, the secret manual for cultivating body techniques that he got from Lu Chenro was of little use to him, as the spiritual chi crystal contained within wasn't powerful enough to light up the constellations. However, Xiang Beifei suddenly thought of the tuition for elite universities. 100,000 a year for tuition fees alone, not to mention all kinds of living expenses. If he wanted to attend an elite university, he would have to start saving money now. Lu Chenro's reward wasn't of much use to him, but could he sell it? He needed money. System rewards, if not needed by oneself, could be sold to others. Some people couldn't complete system tasks on their own, but with someone else's system reward, they could bypass that stage and meet the requirements. So, many system rewards could be sold for a good price. Thinking back to how Kong Xiuwen's father had spent a great deal of money to obtain 2 so-called awakening elixirs, it was clear that there was a target market. Even though those elixirs were utterly useless, it couldn't be denied that there were targeted customers. But to whom should he sell this cultivation manual? Who would be a good candidate? That was the problem. On the edge of the Luhe High School cafeteria, this was a biological geography garden. Many high schools had such a small garden, featuring various educational facilities, including globes, wind vanes, and various kinds of statues. Schools with better conditions would also keep some small animals or plant some vegetables and flowers in the biological geography garden. Hidden by a dense forest, the place was usually deserted during class time. In the bushes, a figure cautiously surveyed the surroundings, appearing sneaky. Seeing no one around, he took out his phone and dialed a number. Today, during the system school selection consultation, the principal personally called him to the office. A deep voice came through the phone. Did you investigate what exactly he did? No, I didn't dare eavesdrop on the principal's conversation. After all, he's a strong practitioner in the meridian opening late stage. The line went silent for a moment before the voice responded. What's your speculation about his talent? It's hard to say. I specifically came to the school yesterday to watch Xiang Beifei's awakening ceremony and saw the whole process. Although Li Nanxing concluded that the electric shock thunderstone was broken, Xiang Beifei is Xiang Tianqing's son after all. Xiang Tianqing is an SR-rated genius, so it's hard for me to believe his son is just an N-rated waste. The voice on the phone continued. So, you're suspecting that Li Nanxing deliberately tampered with the electric shock thunderstone to cover up Xiang Beifei's UR-rated talent? It's possible, especially since Li Nanxing took Xiang Beifei to the office alone today for the system school selection consultation, which makes me suspicious. The figure in the bushes spoke in a hushed tone. Then go investigate thoroughly, came the reply from the phone. If Xiang Beifei is truly a UR-rated genius, what do you plan to do? We'll proceed according to the rules. If he's just an N-rated awakener, then let it be. But if he's UR, we can't just ignore it. The voice on the phone stated. Understood. The figure in the bushes hung up the phone and with a swift motion, disappeared into the biological geography garden. Isn't this a bit too hard? Kong Xiuwen scratched his head, looking quite frustrated. Xiang Beifei was curiously examining Kong Xiuwen's system. Kong Xiuwen's system had just issued a task for him to complete a comprehensive exam paper, with the option to refer to books. The system's reward was to lose another hair. For Kong Xiuwen, who was terrible at studying, this was a massive challenge. His foundation was not solid, so completing this task might be a bit difficult. Pioneers are a noble profession. In the wilderness, how many people make up a pioneer team? What types of systems do these team members generally awaken? Please provide examples. Kong Xiuwen read the question while twirling his pen. His pen-twirling skill was flashy. He could twirl the pen around each finger, but he just couldn't untangle the answer to the question. After a while, Kong Xiuwen turned his head and quietly asked Xiang Beifei, "Right, you should know more about pioneers than I do. Help me look at this question." Kong Xiuwen knew that Xiang Beifei's parents were pioneers, and he should be quite familiar with these kinds of questions. Xiang Beifei glanced at the question and then said, "Every pioneer team is composed of 5 people, and generally speaking, the system types they awaken are all different. One needs to have detection abilities, mostly serving as the team leader, to command the overall situation. One needs to have a healing system, responsible for treating teammates' injuries. One needs to be a system awakener with powerful offensive capabilities to open the way. One needs to have a defensive ability to protect the entire team and avoid damage. The last one would be a system awakener with special action capabilities, responsible for advancing or retreating. Healing systems are generally sought from the liberal arts college's medical specialty, while the rest mostly come from the martial arts college. Having special action capabilities generally refers to practitioners who have awakened systems such as the flight system or the earth escape system. In the wilderness, faced with all sorts of dangers, it's necessary to have a team member with retreat capabilities to lead the team in avoiding insurmountable perilous situations at critical moments. Kong Xiuwen hurriedly wrote down Xiang Beifei's answer. Right. Do you plan to become a pioneer in the future? Like your parents? Kong Xiuwen asked. Maybe. Xiang Beifei answered offhandedly. That was not his heartfelt answer. For him, it was enough just to survive well in this world overrun with systems. Whether or not to become a pioneer wasn't that important to him, unless he needed to help others complete tasks for rewards or something. Yeah, just like that. So, is your system one of these 5 types? Kong Xiuwen asked. Sort of. What about you? My system allows for a wide range of specialization choices, but I think I'll go down the path of strength. I'm not good at studying, but I can fight. Kong Xiuwen chuckled and habitually touched his hair. Then he couldn't smile anymore. The less hair one had, the stronger one was. Yet, his hair was still like seaweed, lush and thriving. Right. Have you decided on your university after consulting with the system school selection consultant? Xiang Beifei asked. Not yet, but I plan to go to the same university as you. I'll go to whichever university you can get into, Kong Xiuwen said. He was an S-rank awakener and had policy privileges. Except for the 9 elite universities, he could easily get into any of the ordinary common universities. Then we should set a small goal first. Xiang Beifei paused, then said, like getting into Liangzhou University. Goodness! Is that a small goal? Kong Xiuwen gasped and stared at Xiang Beifei. Liangzhou University was one of the 9 elite universities. Even as an S-rank system awakener, he never dared to set his sights on one of the 9 elite universities. You actually want to try for Liangzhou University? Have you lost your mind? Kong Xiuwen asked softly. I've checked for you. Liangzhou University's scoreline is the lowest among the 9 elite universities. You need to aim for the Martial Arts College of Liangzhou University. The score requirement for the cultural courses in the Martial Arts College is lower, and with the added points you have, you will just need to score 500. Xiang Beifei said. What's the use of you checking for me? It's mainly about you. I've heard that different awakeners have different score lines, Kong Xiuwen said. As an N-level system awakener, you need to score 670, Xiang Beifei stated calmly. The total score for the Gaokao is 750 points. Each of the 9 elite universities has 2 types of colleges. The Liberal Arts College has its admission standards, focusing on all walks of life. As for the Martial Arts College, they do not demand high scores for cultural courses, so they lower the acceptance score. I don't need to mention SR or SSR system awakeners. They are all guaranteed admission. For S-level awakeners, the admission line for the Martial Arts College is 550 points. For R-level awakeners, the admission line for the Martial Arts College is 600 points. The other 8 elite universities do not admit N-level system awakeners. Only Liangzhou University gives N-level system awakeners a chance. Even so, for N-level awakeners, the admission line for Liangzhou University is as high as 670 points, the highest threshold for both the Liberal and Martial Dao. Furthermore, you have to pass the university's entrance examination. If you fail the assessment, they will still reject you. In the past, there were several N-level awakeners with excellent scores in cultural courses who managed to score 670, but still failed at the entrance examination. Because Liangzhou University has strict requirements for N-level students, not only do they need to meet cultural course standards, but they must also pass the assessment. Liangzhou University hasn't enrolled N-level system students for 10 consecutive years. 670 points. Without any bonus points, that's an astronomical figure. Can you do it? This score was something Kong Xiuwen never dared to dream of. Adding up his scores in all subjects, managing to get 400 points would already mean his ancestors were blessing him. S-levels get an addition of 50 points, R-levels get 10 points. These awakeners at least have special lenient policies. But for N-level awakeners in the Gaokao, there are no extra points. Admission to elite universities relies solely on actual scores, in addition to passing a strict assessment, which is extremely difficult. My system task is to get me into Liangzhou University. I must work toward this goal, Xiang Beifei said. What a crappy system you have. Kong Xiuwen finally understood what Xiang Beifei meant. It wasn't that he wanted to go to Liangzhou University, but the system wanted him to. If he didn't complete the system task, it would be difficult to progress. He would remain mediocre for life. You only need to score 500 points, and you can get into Liangzhou University, so you need to improve your grades within 2 months. It's better to go to an elite university than a regular one, Xiang Beifei said. What about you? Can you improve from 400 to 670 points in 2 months? Kong Xiuwen asked. I don't have a choice. Even if it's impossible, I still have to do it. Understand? Xiang Beifei said. He actually had great confidence. Learn by analogy made studying for cultural courses incredibly simple. Your system is even more of a scam than mine. Kong Xiuwen pulled at his hair, looking at Xiang Beifei with a face full of sympathy. Losing hair at least makes you stronger. But Xiang Beifei's first task was almost as hard as ascending to heaven. Quit the nonsense. Are you setting this small goal or not? Since you have such a grand task, I must keep up. It's just improving by 100 points in a short time, right? I'm all in. At worst, he would just lose a few more strands of hair. Kong Xiuwen had some auxiliary potions in his S-level system store that could invigorate his mind, making his thinking more agile. He hadn't wanted to use these. He preferred to buy things that increased strength. But now, he had to change his training focus and, with the help of the system, get admitted to Liangzhou University first. After school, he didn't go home with Kong Xiuwen. Instead, he headed for the vegetable market. His grandfather made a living selling vegetables at the market, and Xiang Beifei wanted to help out. When Xiang Beifei arrived at the bustling vegetable market, it was evening, and there were a lot of people buying vegetables. The market was teeming and noisy. He found his grandfather in the middle of haggling with a vegetable vendor. "No, listen here. Young lady, a bundle of green onions is just 90 cents, and you're still bargaining?" Xiang Qingde shook his head at the stout woman in front of him. She had a basket slung over her arm, wore a necklace around her neck, and her makeup was thick, her lipstick especially obvious. "The quality of these onions isn't great, see? The tips are turning yellow. They're not fresh. Even 90 cents a bunch is too much. I'll take 2 for $1.50, and how about you throw in 2 pieces of ginger?" The woman hollered in a loud voice. "Who does business like that? These onions were picked straight from the field today. Go on, find someone selling fresher ones." Xiang Qingde was about to reason with the woman, but when he caught sight of Xiang Beifei approaching, he was very surprised. "Beifei, what brings you to a place like this?" "I just came to see if you needed any help," Xiang Beifei said. "I can manage by myself." "Why would I need your help? Aren't you in your 3rd year of high school? Shouldn't you be reviewing your coursework?" Xiang Qingde asked. "You never liked coming here before, and now you haven't run into some trouble, have you?" Xiang Qingde was somewhat anxious. Meanwhile, the plump woman was getting impatient. "I'm asking you, old brother, are you selling or not?" All right. Take them for $1.50. Xiang Qingde, more concerned about Xiang Beifei, quickly settled the haggling over the onions. The woman left, pleased as punch after paying. Xiang Beifei glanced at the woman's system, which had awakened a level N bargaining system. "You've just haggled the price of a bunch of green onions below market value. Your system points plus 0.01. Bargaining system? Too bad this auntie doesn't know about Pinduoduo. Otherwise, it's all about chipping in with your bros. You could definitely haggle your way to a prosperous path." "Grandpa, you sold at a loss," Xiang Beifei pointed out. "It's all right, are you okay?" Xiang Qingde pulled him over and gave him a once-over while asking, "Did someone bully you at school again? Why does everyone think I get bullied? Do I look too naive or something? I just wanted to clear my head. Studying non-stop can get pretty boring," Xiang Beifei said. "Are you sure you're okay?" "Really," Xiang Beifei assured. "All right then, take a seat for now. We did good business today, made $60. It's time to close up, and there are usually more customers around this time. Once it's over, I'll take you out to eat. They're supposed to celebrate your system awakening yesterday, and I still haven't taken you out." "Okay." Xiang Beifei watched his grandfather efficiently serve the customers, lending a hand where he could, grabbing bags and helping bag up the vegetables. But internally, he was weighing his current predicament. Grandpa earns just $60 after a whole day selling vegetables? Suddenly, he felt a pang of sympathy for his grandfather. That earning $60 could make him so happy. Liangzhou University, a tuition fee of 100,000. Grandpa's income simply couldn't afford it. Xiang Beifei still dared not tell his grandpa his goal. At least, he had to wait until after the college entrance examination. Xiang Qingde was bustling about, while Xiang Beifei was observing the people around him. At a glance, all the systems he saw were N-level vegetable and fruit merchant system, N-level seafood king system, N-level butcher system. He occasionally saw an R-level system, but they were mostly used by people who stopped by to buy groceries after work. N-level awakeners in this world could only live at the very bottom. The tasks released by their systems were very unreasonable, and it was very difficult for them to get ahead. The vegetable merchants and customers haggled vigorously and then occasionally checked their systems to see if they had completed a system task, gaining a glimmer of hope to continue living. As Xiang Beifei was thinking, a lazy voice emerged from the stall in front of him. "Old man, you know the rules, hurry up. Swap the taro for potatoes today." Xiang Beifei looked up and saw a man with a haughty expression. This man had a red armband on his arm that read, Market Civilization Supervisor. When Xiang Qingde saw the man, his face showed an odd expression, but he still squeezed out a smile and said, right away. He took out a plastic bag, picked some vegetables from the stall, quickly filled a large bag, and then handed it to the man. The lettuce is good today. The man rudely picked a few more sticks of lettuce, stuffed them into the bag, weighed the bag, and then, satisfied, turned to leave. Xiang Beifei furrowed his brow and spoke out, You forgot to pay. Xiang Qingde, hearing Xiang Beifei's words, quickly gave him a look and subtly shook his head, asking Xiang Beifei not to speak. Pay? The man stopped, turned around, and looked at Xiang Beifei meaningfully, then tugged on his armband. What did you just say? Nothing, Captain Ma. It's just the child talking nonsense. Don't take it to heart, Xiang Qingde hurriedly said. Xiang Beifei looked at the man's system interface. Host, Ma Dongqiang. N-level, endure silently system. Realm, mid-stage qi controlling. Your choice to endure the oppressive behavior of the old vegetable vendor silently has increased your endurance value by +1. Xiang Beifei thoughtfully looked at Ma Dongqiang's system. In the system's description, he saw a line. Endure silently system. When you choose to silently endure something or someone else chooses to silently endure your behavior, you can gain endurance value. Ma Dongqiang, as a market civilization supervisor, managed this entire area of the market. The small vegetable vendors who wanted to sell their goods here had to listen to him. Thus, if he wanted to take someone's goods, he would just take them, and the vendors dare not object, but could only choose to endure silently. This way, he could gain endurance value. Ma Dongqiang looked at Xiang Beifei with a half-smiling expression. This kid was obviously new and didn't understand the rules here. In this place, he was the market's tyrant, and no one had ever dared to ask him to pay. Kid, as the market civilization supervisor, I need to inspect the quality of the vegetables in the entire market. These vegetables are for me to test for pesticide residues. Do you have any objections? Ma Dongqiang narrowed his eyes at Xiang Beifei, a smug look appearing at the corner of his mouth. Of course, he was going to take the vegetables home to eat. Sometimes he would also take them to give to his superiors. How could he possibly test them for pesticide residues? But with this excuse, he could keep these people completely under control. No objections, no objections. It's right to follow the rules, Xiang Qingde quickly said. He was certainly aware of Ma Dongqiang's domineering nature, but if he wanted to sell vegetables here, he was forced to bow his head and pick out a portion of vegetables to give to Ma Dongqiang every afternoon as protection money. I was asking him, not you, why are you mouthing off? Ma Dongqiang glared at Xiang Qingde, then walked over to Xiang Beifei, his stature half a head shorter than Xiang Beifei's, so he haughtily looked up at him. But he found this posture to be a bit odd, lacking a bit of dominance. Do you, a little brat, have any complaints about my work? Ma Dongqiang tried to stand on his tiptoes, making himself a bit taller, which he thought made his words more intimidating. Xiang Qingde was a bit nervous and pulled at Xiang Beifei's sleeve from the side. He was worried that Xiang Beifei, being young and impetuous, might say something rash and cause trouble. Xiang Beifei looked down at Ma Dongqiang, who was unsteady on his tiptoes and slightly trembling, assessing the other's system interface. Current endurance value is 20,967. When the endurance value reaches 21,000, you can exchange for items. 1. 2,000 yuan of alliance currency. 2. Primordial strengthening pill. Xiang Beifei thought for a moment, then very amiably said to Ma Dongqiang, no complaints. The vegetable vendor's grandson swallowed your threat without a word. Your endurance value +1. When Ma Dongqiang saw this line appear on his system interface, he was instantly filled with pride. This kid just gave in like that? Just as I thought. In the vegetable market, there's no one who dares to challenge me. Ma Dongqiang. Smart lad. I'm in a good mood today, so I won't bother arguing with you. Here's a piece of advice, kid. It's good for you to suffer losses. Ma Dongqiang looked at Xiang Beifei contentedly. Just a student-looking youngster, could he not handle him? You're right. Xiang Beifei nodded sincerely. He couldn't agree more. According to Ma Dongxiang's way of flaunting his power, he only needed 43 more points to complete his system rewards, which he should collect by tomorrow. Could even be shipped for free. Ma Dongxiang thought he had bluffed another naive young man and was in high spirits. He chuckled, grabbed a handful of fava beans, and then walked confidently to the next store to inspect it. Xiang Qingde finally spoke up after Ma Dongxiang had left. It's fortunate you didn't cause trouble, or it would have been a hassle. Grandpa, does he come here every day to take our vegetables? Xiang Beifei asked. Yes, he comes exactly once a day to pillage. We've gotten used to it. Xiang Qingde sorted the unsold vegetables, shaking his head slightly. After a while, he smiled at Xiang Beifei and said, Don't take it to heart. Life is like this. We're always going to meet all sorts of people who add trouble to our lives. It can't always go smoothly, but we must learn to choose our battles. And sometimes, it's okay to take a loss and not dwell on it. Dwell on it? How could I? I sure know how to take a loss. Xiang Beifei nodded. I understand, Grandpa. Good, as long as you understand. No matter what happens, never lose hope for the future. We must always believe in one principle. As long as life doesn't defeat us, it means we are in control of our lives. Xiang Qingde patiently advised his grandson. He was giving Xiang Beifei these life lessons because yesterday Xiang Beifei had just awakened his system, which unfortunately turned out to be the lowest and least promising N-level system. But people should not give up on themselves. He hoped his grandson would face life with an optimistic attitude. However, Xiang Qingde would never understand just how good Xiang Beifei's mentality was. Incredibly good. Xiang Qingde continued to attend to the customers buying vegetables, while Xiang Beifei watched his somewhat stooped grandfather and smiled softly. This was his only relative in this system world, and the one he must protect. I absolutely can't endure this. Who's responsible? Bastard. Ma Dongxiang's system reward arrived a bit earlier than Xiang Beifei had anticipated. He bossed the vendors around every day, scavenging all sorts of things in the market, so the collection was quickly complete. Therefore, when the vendors were closing up shop and Ma Dongxiang's angry howls rose from the other side, Xiang Qingde still found it strange. What's wrong with him? Xiang Qingde looked at Ma Dongxiang puzzled as he hopped up and down in agitation. Don't know. Maybe he's constipated. With 2,000 yuan in his pocket, Xiang Beifei watched Ma Dongxiang like an onlooker eating melon seeds. Is that so? Xiang Qingde suddenly understood, then whispered after a moment. You see, what goes around comes around. That's why it's better to be kind. He seemed rather satisfied. But Ma Dongxiang was on the verge of going mad with anger. Originally he was happy to have saved enough endurance value, and with much excitement, he went to claim his reward that he had accumulated over several months, only to find that the system had glitched. Ma Dongxiang's face turned green on the spot. Please learn to hold back and remain silent. Avoid getting agitated, or endurance points will be deducted. All my things are gone. How can I possibly hold back? Ma Dongxiang roared. The host failed to hold back. Endurance value -1. Current endurance value is 2. I'm so done with this. The host failed to hold back. Endurance value -1. Current endurance value is 1. Ma Dongxiang took a sharp breath and hurriedly shut his mouth, his face turning white. His endure and swallow your voice system had 2 ways of acquiring points. If others chose to endure and swallow their voices against his actions, he could accumulate endurance value. If he himself endured and swallowed his voice in response to others' actions, he could also accumulate endurance value. Enduring and swallowing one's voice was a 2-way street. Thus, if his task reward was lost, he had to endure it too. If he couldn't endure, then it would be disastrous. He had finally accrued 21,003 points by exploiting these vendors, and after exchanging them for his task reward, now both the primordial strengthening pill and 2,000 yuan were gone. He had been domineering for so long, lost his cool for a moment, threw a fit, and as a result had his endurance value docked too. Ma Dongxiang saw the customers and vendors around him all pointing and whispering, and he felt like his lungs would explode with rage. But he dared not lash out. Even if these vendors mocked him or threw a rotten egg at him, he had to endure and swallow his voice. Most importantly, he couldn't take retaliatory measures against these vendors. Otherwise, that too would count as failing to endure, and endurance points would be deducted. I will endure. You chose to endure and swallow your voice regarding the matter that befell you. Your endurance value +1. Your current endurance value is 2. Ma Dongqiang hated this so much internally. Even if he had to bite off his teeth, he still had to swallow them. Xiang Beifei saw all of Ma Dongqiang's system notifications and knew that Ma Dongqiang probably wouldn't exploit the vendors for a while, as it would all be counted by the system as failing to endure. Grandpa, actually you could just ask him to pay up, not let him scavenge. I think he wouldn't dare to say anything, Xiang Beifei said. Ma Dongqiang's need to endure and swallow his voice meant that when others refused his demands, he couldn't make a fuss. However, all these vendors needed to make a living in the market, and Ma Dongqiang decided whether the vendors could sell vegetables there or not. So whatever Ma Dongqiang said, those vendors had no choice but to follow. It's no trouble. Xiang Qingde shook his head. His grandson had just awakened to his system and would need to attend school in the future. He needed this job. Better to avoid any additional trouble. Xiang Beifei didn't continue explaining. However, Ma Dongqiang might continue to exploit these bottom-tier vegetable vendors who make a living by selling their goods. But that's okay. Since grandfather is here, Xiang Beifei doesn't mind making a few more trips to this place. He tossed the primordial strengthening pill to Xiaohe. Ma Dongqiang was at the mid-stage of qi controlling, a small realm higher than Xiang Beifei, which also meant he could be used to illuminate a constellation. So far, with the 2 types of medicinal pills given by Principal Li Nanqing plus the primordial strengthening pill, he had 3 in total. He still needed 1 more to be ready to illuminate the arrogant dragon constellation. It was just a pity that the body technique manual from Lu Qianrou wasn't very powerful, only suitable for the early stage of qi controlling. He could only think of a way to sell it. Let's go. I said I would take you out to eat today, Xiang Qingde said cheerfully. Xiang Beifei did not refuse and followed his grandfather to a small stir-fry restaurant. Order whatever you like. Don't be shy. This is to celebrate your acquiring your own system. Xiang Qingde pushed the menu to Xiang Beifei with a beaming smile, displaying great generosity. He was still willing to spend money on his only grandson. Xiang Beifei ordered 3 dishes, spending 21 yuan. He knew his grandfather always saved money, so he ordered 3 of the cheapest dishes, just to make a gesture. You must have been studying your system in your room yesterday afternoon. I didn't disturb you. This morning, when I got up, you were still sleeping, so I didn't ask you about it. Speaking of which, how well do you understand your system now? Xiang Qingde asked. I have basically figured it out. I'm thinking about how to complete tasks. Is the first system task difficult? Can I help in any way? Xiang Qingde asked. Xiang Beifei shook his head. I need to complete it independently. Complete it independently? Xiang Qingde understood. If the system required tasks to be completed independently, then others couldn't intervene, otherwise it would be considered a failure. In any case, you need to take your system seriously. Ask more if you don't understand, and be sure to speak up if you have needs. Don't hold back. Grandpa is here. I will definitely help you, Xiang Qingde instructed. Understood. Xiang Beifei nodded and then glanced at his grandfather's system again. That snowflake panel always made him feel puzzled. What had happened to make his grandfather's system turn out like this? But he did not feel it was appropriate to inquire, so he had to suppress this curiosity for the time being. The dishes were served quickly. Xiang Qingde kept putting food onto Xiang Beifei's plate while he himself ate rice. He hardly touched the 3 dishes, only occasionally using his chopsticks to dip into the sauce to touch up his rice with a bit of taste. Aren't you eating, Grandpa? I am eating, I am. You hurry up and eat more. It's time for you to grow, Xiang Qingde said with a smile. Xiang Beifei didn't say much, ate half, then put down his chopsticks and said, I'm full. Full already? Eat some more, you're growing. This meal doesn't suit my taste. I don't want to eat out next time. It's not tasty, Xiang Beifei said. Not tasty? Oh, I knew we shouldn't have come here, and there's still so much left. Xiang Qingde looked somewhat distressed at the 3 plates of food that Xiang Beifei had barely touched. Xiang Beifei said, "If we can't finish it, let's just leave it. Toss it out." "How can we do that? We can't waste food like that. How can we just throw it away?" "You better eat some more." Xiang Qingde hurriedly shook his head, urging Xiang Beifei to continue eating. But Xiang Beifei looked disgusted, and Xiang Qingde had no choice but to eat some of the dishes himself. Eventually, he had the leftover dishes packed up. Actually, the food at the restaurant was cooked better than at home, and Xiang Beifei was aware of this fact. But when eating out, his grandfather always claimed not to like the food, then left the tasty things for him to eat, barely eating much himself. However, Xiang Beifei knew how to get the thrifty and frugal old man to pick up his chopsticks and join him in eating. Just say it should be thrown away. A simple matter. The grandson and grandfather walked home along the street under the moonlight. It was already past 9 in the evening, and people who had been busy all day trudged by, too weary to give anyone else more than a passing glance. When they reached the corner of the street, Xiang Qingde told Xiang Beifei to head back home first as he needed to stop by the grocery store to talk about some matters with the owner. Xiang Beifei turned the corner alone, not far from home, with just an alley to cross. The alley was unusually quiet today, seemingly untouched by passers-by. To add to the silence, the streetlight was broken, leaving a long stretch of road shrouded in darkness. Just then, Xiaohei on his shoulder suddenly tensed, tugging at Xiang Beifei's ear and barking twice in warning. "Is there something there?" Xiang Beifei also felt something was amiss and looked toward the dark void ahead. A foreboding presence seemed to stir in the shadows. Lacking any real combat skills, he felt no curiosity towards this unknown danger and immediately turned to run towards the light. However, before he could take 2 steps, a low growl cut through the darkness. It was as if a gust of wind swept by, and a shadow lunged toward him. Xiang Beifei instinctively dodged to the side, avoiding the strike, while the shadow missed and quickly steadied itself before turning to fix its gaze on him. As he ran towards this side, the faint light from a nearby residential building cast out, dispersing some of the darkness. Taking advantage of this dim light, he could make out the rough appearance of the shadow. It was an animal about 1 meter tall, resembling a large yellow dog, except the dog had 2-inch-long fangs and hair that stood on end like barbs. Its limbs had protrusions that looked like bone blades. "Is this a desolate beast?" Xiang Beifei was quite surprised. He was aware that this world harbored various powerful desolate beasts, with terrifying combat strength constantly encroaching upon human territories. But normally, these desolate beasts shouldn't appear in residential areas. They were kept beyond the wastelands outside of Jiuzhou. Jiuzhou itself was guarded by pioneers and defenders who would slay any beasts that slipped through. The area where Xiang Beifei resided was considered a safe zone. Under normal circumstances, there shouldn't be any desolate beasts, and if there were, they would be eliminated by the law enforcement. So what was the story with this strange canine? Suddenly, Xiaohei sniffed something and turned its head towards a roadside tree in the darkness, barking twice more. Xiang Beifei looked in that direction but saw no one. However, he did see a system interface hiding amongst the tree branches quite clearly. Even in the darkness, that system interface shone brightly to Xiang Beifei, like a lighthouse amidst the murk, unmistakably conspicuous. Xiang Beifei could see anyone's system, even if he couldn't make out what the person looked like. "Who is this person?" Xiang Beifei frowned, focusing on the system interface, attempting to discern the information displayed on it. But, unfortunately, since the interface was obstructed by branches and at a distance, he couldn't make out the system's details. At this moment, the strange canine was not allowing Xiang Beifei any time to ponder. It was fixating on him and charged again. Whoosh! Xiang Beifei once again dodged the beast dog's attack by swiftly sidestepping. The moonlight glinted off the beast's bone blade as it swung at Xiang Beifei, who narrowly evaded. The razor-sharp bone blade tore through his clothes. His strength had only just reached the early stages of qi controlling, and this beast dog was ferocious, Its power and speed far surpassed his. He was also fortunate to have the learn by analogy ability. After continuously evading the mutant dog's attacks twice just now, he had fully understood the information about this mutant dog. Originally a stray dog, 2 years and 3 months old, mutated into a mutant dog, its strength and speed are 10 times that of before, relying mainly on the bone blades on its legs for attacks, with its killing power ranked among the lowest of desolate beasts. The mutant dog's weakness lies in the cartilage beneath the bone blade. Hitting it will paralyze its entire body and render it unable to fight for 5 minutes. The weakness is the cartilage beneath the bone blade? Xiang Beifei quickly focused on the mutant dog's bone blade, which was 6 inches long, about 20 centimeters, and extremely vicious when used. If it weren't for his ability learn by analogy, which allowed him to quickly grasp the mutant dog's mode of attack and dodge at the critical moment, he would have been knocked down long ago. But even knowing the opponent's attack pattern, trying to dodge was still strenuous, as the opponent's speed was still faster to some extent. Xiang Beifei didn't have any suitable weapons on hand. All he could think of was using rocks. Roar! The mutant dog raised its bone blade and viciously kicked towards Xiang Beifei, who plunged to the side and crashed into the wall. In his desperation, he happened to grab a brick. But just as he was about to use the brick to smash the mutant dog's bone blade, he suddenly remembered the mysterious person hiding in the tree and watching. The presence of the mutant dog here must be related to that mysterious person. That meant the other party was stronger than he was. If they were to take advantage of Xiang Beifei being busy dodging the mutant dog to launch a sneak attack, Xiang Beifei wouldn't have any means of resisting. But that person stood there without initiating an attack. Did he have some concerns? Was it because it wasn't convenient for him to make a move? Or some other reason? Could it be that he's here to test my strength? Xiang Beifei's mind raced with many possibilities in an instant. The geniuses with UR rank systems from the legends don't have to do any tasks right after awakening and possess late-stage chi-controlling strength. Come on, let's see if you can deal with this mid-stage chi-controlling mutant dog. The shadow atop the tree watched Xiang Beifei confronting the mutant dog and muttered to itself. He was ordered to investigate the system talent rank of Xiang Tianxing's son. Principal Li Nanxing was stronger than him. Naturally, he couldn't get any information from Principal Li Nanxing, so he started from Xiang Beifei himself. If Xiang Beifei was an awakener of a UR system, then he should be in the late stages of chi-controlling by now, and it should be more than enough for him to kill off this mutant dog. Once the mutant dog was killed, Xiang Beifei's talent could be confirmed, and he could go back to report. Why is he evading so strenuously? The shadow had some doubts in its heart. There were no people here if Xiang Beifei wanted to hide his talent. There was no need. Could it be that he awakened not a martial Dao system, but a literary Dao system? But that shouldn't be the case either. Even a literary Dao system of UR rank talent reaching the late stages of chi-controlling should still be able to fend off this mid-stage chi-controlling mutant dog with its own spiritual power, even if not adept at fighting. But why did this kid seem so flustered when dodging? Not at all like someone with spiritual power. Could it be a mistake? Is he really just an N-rank loser? While the shadow was pondering, Xiang Beifei suddenly turned around and quickly ran towards the tree he was on. At the same time, the mutant dog also leaped high, pouncing in this direction. The shadow believed it had concealed itself perfectly well. Considering it was at the very least a meridian opening stage cultivator, it knew Xiang Beifei definitely couldn't see him, so he watched the unfolding scene with ease. However, what he hadn't expected was for Xiang Beifei to suddenly turn tail and run this way, seemingly planning to find an obstacle to hide from the mutant hound, with the great tree serving as an ideal target. Yet he wasn't in a hurry. His disguise was not something this kid could see through. The mutant hound charged fiercely, pouncing towards Xiang Beifei, its sharp bone blade drawing a vicious arc in the air, slashing towards Xiang Beifei's back. Xiang Beifei cried out in alarm, ducking awkwardly to the side and covering his head, appearing as if he were terrified, with no intention of fighting back. But the hound's massive body found nothing but air. The bone blade's chilling gleam missed by barely brushing Xiang Beifei's hair, and the beast couldn't dodge in time, crashing into the crisscrossed branches before letting out a miserable yelp. A tree branch had just stabbed into the soft cartilage beneath the mutant hound's bone blade. Ow! The mutant hound's body went numb, and it fell to the base of the tree, its limbs twitching faintly, deprived of its combat strength. My God! What monster! Terrifying! Xiang Beifei exclaimed, hastily pulling out his phone and dialing Zhuzhou Alliance's emergency hotline, 999 in a panic. Hello? Is this 999? There's a desolate beast here. Someone come quick. Xiang Beifei shouted into the phone. This guy really got lucky. The shadow was surprised to see the mutant hound hit in its vulnerable spot by a tree branch. He had planned to probe further, but after seeing Xiang Beifei calling for help, he pondered briefly, then flashed out from one side, leaving the big tree behind. Zhuzhou's law enforcers were capable of tracing the location of an emergency call, and some powerful officers would likely arrive within a few minutes. By now, he was almost certain that Xiang Beifei was nothing but an N-level scrub, so there was no point in loitering around. Only after the shadow had gone did Xiang Beifei stand up, the panicked expression on his face long gone, replaced by puzzled eyes intently following the direction where the shadow had disappeared. He didn't pursue, for he couldn't catch up. The anguished words from just now were uttered on the spur of the moment. The desolate beast at the chi-controlling midstage posed no threat to him. He could have dispatched the mutant hound with a rock, but he had deliberately run this way to better understand the system of this individual. The mutant hound's collision with the tree and the subsequent puncture of its soft cartilage was not luck, but part of Xiang Beifei's calculated plan. Fortunately, Beifei's disguise was not in vain. In the rush of the moment, he clarified the system information of the other party. Host: Su Yang. S-level, mutation system, realm. Meridian opening initial stage. Mutation system. Can cause any living creature to undergo a brief mutation. Who is this Su Yang? Possessing an S-level system, and still at the meridian opening initial stage. Xiang Beifei was quite puzzled. A cultivator at the initial stage of meridian opening, as per his system, should still be a martial artist, and it would be easy for such a person to take action against him. But he had actually left without even considering capturing him and throwing him into a confinement cell. Was the other party truly just probing him? Could it be because of yesterday's anomaly with the Thunderstone when I activated the awakening system? The only possibility Xiang Beifei could think of was this. The mutant hound on the ground twitched twice, seemingly about to regain its ability to move. It hadn't died earlier. It was merely incapacitated for a short time after being impaled in the soft cartilage. Lie down and wait for the police to come. Xiang Beifei broke off a branch from the tree, gestured with it, and poked the mutant hound's soft cartilage to ensure it would rest a little longer. A shadow flickered through the night. It wasn't until he was 2 streets away from the alley that the shadow finally came to a stop. The person known as Su Yang walked to a secluded spot, looked around to ensure no one was there, then took out his phone and dialed a number. Soon, a voice came through from the other end of the call. Is it confirmed? Confirmed. Is it a UR talent? Definitely not. He couldn't even defeat a mid-stage chi-controlling mutant hound. Got scared yelling for help. If such a guy is a UR talent, that would be an insult to UR itself. He was defeated by a mutant hound? The voice on the other end of the phone seemed a bit surprised. Is he that weak? Yes, he didn't inherit his father's talents at all. His father was at least SR level and he's just an N level. Xiang Tianxing's son is only N level? Hard to believe. The person on the other end of the phone fell silent, seemingly in thought. Su Yang continued, maybe I really got it wrong. He doesn't have the potential. He didn't discover you, did he? How could he possibly notice me? With his strength, I could stand behind him, and he wouldn't even see me, said Su Yang. It's best he didn't notice. Given that, don't bother with him anymore. Your mission is over. You can come back. Okay. Su Yang hung up the phone and took another look at his system interface. Your mutant hound attacked Xiang Beifei, mutant hound proficiency +2, the strength of the next mutated hound +1, mutation value +1. Eh? Not a total loss, the proficiency of the mutant hound actually increased tonight. Jackpot. Su Yang's mood brightened. Though Xiang Beifei lacks talent, he inadvertently helped my mutant hound level up. That's rare. Usually, when mutant hounds attack others, the chances of proficiency increasing are very slim. Today is my lucky day. Xiang Beifei waited on the spot for 5 minutes, noticing that the police still hadn't arrived. The main reason he had called the police just now was for his own safety, and as a way to frighten the other party away. Actually, that person had already left. There was no need to involve the police. However, since he had called the police, he still needed to handle it. Otherwise, they might trace him using his cell number, find his home, and then he would have to explain it to his grandfather, causing the old man to worry. The mutant hound lying on the ground seemed to gradually regain its ability to move. This was already the 3rd time it recovered, with the previous 2 times being knocked down by Xiang Beifei. The mutant hound slowly crawled up and, baring its teeth at Xiang Beifei, prepared to continue its attack. Just when Xiang Beifei was about to jab it for the 3rd time, suddenly, a crisp, commanding voice came from behind. "Demon! You shall not harm people." A shadow flashed by Xiang Beifei's side, with a leg sweeping over and kicking the mutant hound in front of him. Oof! The mutant hound, just standing up, was sent flying by a long leg. She was a short-haired girl, with a delicate appearance, tall figure, wearing jeans and a white shirt. After kicking, her legs still maintained the lifted posture. It was very stylish. She slowly lowered her leg, turned her head to look at Xiang Beifei, and asked, "Did you call the police?" Xiang Beifei looked at the girl's system. Host. Lu Jiwei. S-level. Super police system. Realm. Advanced Qi controlling. Lu Jiwei. Xiang Beifei knew this girl. Beifei. Lu Jiwei seemed to only then recognize Xiang Beifei's face. Xiang Beifei's father was a pioneer, while Lu Jiwei's father was a city guardian. The two had work-related interactions in the past, so Xiang Beifei and Lu Jiwei also knew each other from before. Lu Jiwei was a year older than Xiang Beifei. She awakened her system last year and started her freshman year of university this year at Liangzhou University. "I'm the one who called the cops. But why did you show up? You're not a city law enforcer," Xiang Beifei asked. Lu Jiwei put her hands on her hips and replied, "I attend classes during the day and intern at my dad's office in the evening. Is that a problem?" After a pause, she added, "I'm here, and you're being picky. If I hadn't responded to the call, you might have been carried away by this desolate beast by now. You should thank me for arriving in time to deal with this beast." Deal with? That desolate beast was lying down obediently just 10 minutes ago. Then I really should thank you. Lucky you came on time, or a moment later. Xiang Beifei dusted off his clothes, picked up his backpack nonchalantly and said, "My wounds would have healed." Lu Jiwei. Lu Jiwei pretended not to hear Xiang Beifei's words and shone her flashlight on the otherworldly dog that had been kicked to the brink of death, her expression growing slightly more serious. "Why would there be a desolate beast here? Just now." Xiang Beifei was about to explain, but Lu Jiwei held up a hand to stop him from continuing. "Don't spoil it for me. I'm a law enforcer. Let me reason it out." What is there to reason out? However, Lu Jiwei's super police system seemed to have issued a task. Investigate the scene, deduce the events that occurred. Correct deduction reward, +1 recognition ability. All right then. Xiang Beifei shrugged his shoulders and made a welcoming gesture. Lu Jiwei walked around the alley seriously, circling a tree twice, squatting down to poke the otherworldly dog, then wandering through the alley as if looking for some clues. A minute later, she lifted her head and said, "You must have had poor grades and were kept in detention by the teacher, which is why you're only just getting home now. You encountered this desolate beast, but you still had time to call the police, indicating that the beast's target wasn't you, but instead another person, whom you saw being attacked, hence you called the police. But when I arrived, the desolate beast was about to attack you, and there was no second person at the scene. Could that person have been eaten by the desolate beast?" Xiang Beifei? Am I right in my deducing? Lu Jiwei asked eagerly. Xiang Beifei spread his hands. A line of text flashed across her system interface. Deduction failed. Current accuracy rate, 11%. Target accuracy rate, 20%. How is that possible? I deduced it by referencing the logic of detective cartoons. I've seen over 600 episodes of detective cartoons, learned so many insights, mastered all sorts of perfect crimes, alibis, locked room murder techniques, and still my deduction accuracy rate is this low. Lu Jiwei muttered to herself indignantly, hands on her hips. Xiang Beifei said, "The detective cartoon you've been watching, wouldn't the protagonist happen to be Detective Kagoro Mori?" Lu Jiwei glared at Xiang Beifei. Xiang Beifei casually glanced over Lu Jiwei's stats again. Speed, 79. Strength, 80. Identification ability, 19. Deduction ability, 18. These skewed stats are a bit severe. Could it be that she leveled up her skill tree incorrectly, putting all the points into speed and strength? Is she planning to become a violent detective? Xiao Wei, you went on a mission alone again without telling me. At that moment, a man hurried into the alley from behind. Wearing a blue guard uniform, he strode quickly over, scanning the alley with a serious look, then frowned slightly at the sight of the otherworldly dog lying on the ground. Xiang Beifei looked at the man's system interface. Host, Lu Hong. Grade S Investigation System. Realm, early stage of meridian opening. When Lu Jiwei saw Lu Hong, she shrank her head and said sheepishly, "Dad, I was just reducing your workload. A desolate beast showed up in our area, which is a big deal. You were eating just now, so I took it upon myself to step in." Nonsense. You're not a law enforcer yet, and my agreeing to let you intern here every evening wasn't permission for you to stir up trouble. Couldn't you have called me when I wasn't around? Lu Hong's voice was very serious. Lu Jiwei smiled sheepishly and dared not talk back. Beifei, what happened? Did you report an attack? Lu Hong also knew Xiang Beifei. Yes. Just now I was attacked by a desolate beast. Xiang Beifei pointed at the mutant dog on the ground. Lu Hong stared at the mutant dog for a long while before speaking. This isn't a true desolate beast, but a dog that has been mutated by someone. It's a low-level mutant dog which won't revert back until its strength has dissipated. Earlier, it must have been. Lu Hong paused here, looking at Xiang Beifei with some astonishment, then asked, "It was targeting you. It chased you from over there to this tree, and then ran into the tree, seemingly losing its ability to fight. You're really lucky. Such impressive deductive skills. Much better than the 11% accuracy of Lu Jiwei. Indeed, experience does count. However, it wasn't luck that the mutant dog lost its ability to fight. Everything was just within Xiang Beifei's calculations." Lu Jiwei said softly, "Dad, it was I who knocked down this mutant dog just now. Where did you knock it down? You were just gilding the lily. Look here, the dog's vulnerability was clearly prodded several times by this branch, at least 3 times. By the way, Beifei, how did you know how to deal with this mutant dog?" Lu Hong looked at Xiang Beifei with astonishment. In his impression, Xiang Beifei was not very serious about his studies, unlike his father. "Oh right. I've read some books about mutant dogs and know their weaknesses. When it ran into the tree just now, I kept scratching its vulnerable spot to prevent it from getting up, waiting for you to come." Xiang Beifei nodded, making no attempt to conceal it. After all, Lu Hong was a law enforcer, and one equipped with the investigation system at that, so there was no need to hide anything from him. Ah, so that's how it was. Lu Jiwei remembered her own dreadful reasoning and rolled her eyes. Damn! I thought it had eaten a person. Lu Hong ignored his daughter and continued to question Xiang Beifei. Who have you angered? Why would someone use a mutant dog to attack a student like you? I don't know. I was just taking this road on my way home, when a desolate beast suddenly pounced on me, and then I started running while calling the police. Xiang Beifei thought for a moment, then added, Right, just now I saw someone hiding in this tree. It seemed like he was making a phone call. I vaguely heard someone on the phone calling him Su-Yang. Maybe he thought I was eavesdropping, so he attacked me. When he heard me calling the police, he ran away. Uncle Lu, can you find out anything? Su-Yang. Lu Hong frowned slightly, then noted the name. He carefully climbed up the tree to check and after a while said, "Indeed, someone has been here." They stood in this spot for about 10 minutes. Judging by the wear on the bark, the person weighs around 70 kilograms. He asked Xiang Beifei for more details, and Xiang Beifei, apart from his own abilities, disclosed everything else. There was nothing worth hiding. If they were to investigate a stranger, clearly, it would be more convenient for Lu Hong to do the investigation. They had the help of the system, which would make the process more efficient. Unfortunately, no matter how extensive Lu Hong's investigative experience was, his system couldn't directly provide more information about the suspect. "I'll take this mutant dog back for investigation. Anyone who can make an ordinary dog into a mutant dog certainly has a mutation-based system, and their strength is at least in the late stages of chi controlling, if not stronger. But since he didn't harm you, he must have been wary of something, perhaps not wanting to leave too many clues. So he might have just sent the mutant dog to distract your attention, not planning to do anything to you. It seems like you won't be in danger for the time being. I'll take you home first, and once I have some leads, I'll inform you." Lu Hong explained the situation to Xiang Beifei. "All right, Uncle Lu." Xiang Beifei nodded politely. This person named Su-Yang. Xiang Beifei was still unclear about who exactly he was. But he should not lay hands on himself. That was the only thing Xiang Beifei could be certain of. He did not tell Lu Hong what Su-Yang's system was or what his cultivation level was. Being just a high school student who had just awakened his system, if he knew these things, Lu Hong would start to suspect him. He would let Lu Hong investigate next, as he was part of the city's guard squad. He could check all the population records for anyone named Su-Yang and see if he could filter them out one by one. Xiang Beifei needed to focus on two things at the moment. One was earning money, and the other was cultivating. Earning money was essential. Although due to his father's cause, the Alliance provided a monthly pension, Xiang Beifei could not rely on the pension for life. If he wanted to forge his own path, he needed to be self-reliant. Besides, if he really went to a place like Liangzhou University, this pension wouldn't be enough. And cultivation was of utmost importance. Unlike others, while others could do system tasks to improve their cultivation, he had to rely on his own personal cultivation. He sat cross-legged on the bed, circulated the chaos yin-yang formula once, absorbed the spiritual energy around him, introduced it into his body, tempering his own meridians. The night battle with the alien canine made him realize his many shortcomings, and he felt he needed a suitable weapon. Otherwise, facing a desolate beast like that always gave him a sense of disadvantage. "Xiaohei, do you have any weapons you could give me to use?" Xiang Beifei poked Xiaohei, who was rolling around bored next to him. Xiaohei barked excitedly and said, "Divine mud." "What divine mud?" "A very hard and strong material that can transform into any tool you want." Xiang Beifei's eyes lit up. "That sounds powerful. Where can I get it?" "Illuminate the arrogant dragon constellation, and then use your spiritual power to nurture the divine mud, refining it into the shape you want," Xiaohei said. "Illuminate the arrogant dragon constellation?" The arrogant dragon constellation had 4 stars, and he had already collected 3 items that could illuminate the stars. He was still missing one. Who should I ask for this one? Xiang Beifei held his chin, pondering. Should he ask the principal for help again? But it would be embarrassing to ask directly. He could not just burst into the principal's office and say, "Principal, send me another 2,000 prestige points, just for a gesture?" Although Xiang Beifei felt he had thick skin, it wasn't to that extent. But there was no rush now. Even if he illuminated the arrogant dragon constellation, he needed to increase his strength first. Xiang Beifei continued cultivating the chaos yin-yang formula. His spiritual power had not yet fully formed. According to this pace, he should be able to reach the mid-stage of chi controlling by the end of the month. Xiang Beifei asked Lu Hong not to tell his grandfather about the attack. He did not want the old man to worry too much. Lu Hong was a very responsible law enforcer. An alien canine had appeared and attacked his old friend's son within his managed area. Yet he had not caught the suspect, feeling somewhat derelict in his duties. Therefore, he called every day to inquire about Xiang Beifei's condition and ensure his safety. Apart from attending classes in school, Xiang Beifei practiced cultivation at home every day without any slack. On the third day after the attack, as Xiang Beifei was returning home from school, he ran into Lu Hong, who seemed to have been waiting for him outside the school gates. "Uncle Lu," Xiang Beifei greeted. Lu Hong took Xiang Beifei aside with a serious expression. After checking that no one else was around, he asked, "Beifei, you haven't encountered Su Yang recently, have you?" "No, what's the matter?" Xiang Beifei asked. "I just wanted to make sure. Could you once again go over the details of what happened that day?" Lu Hong said. "Didn't I explain it that day? I need to be sure again. I'm currently investigating a case, and I suspect it might be related to your incident. That's why I have to check again." Lu Hong looked somewhat tired with bloodshot eyes, as if he hadn't slept for several days. Xiang Beifei could only repeat what he had said at that time. After listening, Lu Hong's brows were tightly knitted. "Is this case very tricky?" Xiang Beifei asked. "Yes, it is, but don't worry. You must be careful these days. Try not to walk alone, and make sure there are people around you." Lu Hong fell silent for a moment before flipping his hand and pulling out an extremely thin vest. He placed the vest on Xiang Beifei, and it transformed into a blue light and attached itself to Xiang Beifei's clothes. This azure light armor will protect you from 2 mid-stage chi controlling attacks, and the protection lasts for a month. If the person who attacked you that day and the person I'm currently looking for are the same, then you must be cautious. If you encounter Su Yang who attacked you, just pound your chest to activate the bulletproof vest, and I will rush over within a minute," Lu Hong said solemnly. Xiang Beifei was somewhat surprised. This azure light armor, purchased by Lu Hong using his system values from the system store, was a type of system reward. The azure light armor, capable of withstanding mid-stage chi-controlling attacks, meant he had inadvertently collected all the spiritual power crystals needed to activate the Arrogant Dragon constellation. Xiang Beifei hadn't expected that the 4th spiritual power crystal would come this way. Regardless, I must capture that criminal myself and not let him harm anyone else. Lu Hong seemed to recall some past events and clenched his fist. He gave Xiang Beifei this bulletproof vest mainly because he associated the current criminal with Su Yang, so protecting Xiang Beifei was necessary if Su Yang was the criminal he was chasing. "All right, thank you, Uncle Lu." Xiang Beifei nodded. The protection offered by the bulletproof vest was only for a month, but this was not important to Xiang Beifei. He didn't need the protection of the azure light armor, as it could only withstand mid-stage chi-controlling attacks, and he was confident in confronting such powers. Xiang Beifei planned to fuse it into a spiritual power crystal. After returning home, he didn't hesitate, taking out the azure light armor along with the primordial strengthening pill, chi condensing pill, and forgetting dust pill. With the help of Xiaohe, he successfully activated the Arrogant Dragon constellation in the Spirit Gathering book. Arrogant Dragon Constellation. Divine Mud Breath Soil. From the classic of mountains and seas. Gun stole the Emperor's breath soil to stop the deluge. Ability. Soil that can grow indefinitely. It needs one's spiritual energy to nourish and grow. Xiang Beifei looked at the thumb-sized piece of yellow mud in his hand, which was the breath soil. According to Xiaohe, once the breath soil reached a certain quantity, it could transform into various special shapes, and it also possessed incredible hardness. However, currently the breath soil was still just a speck, and making it grow was a long and arduous task. Tempering breath soil is a very exhausting task, because it requires an enormous amount of spiritual power. Xiang Beifei needed to expend most of his spiritual power just to make the soil barely grow a bit. He called this activity soil straining. Xiang Beifei tempered the breath soil for an entire day before he could get it to grow to 1 meter in length. This was already the limit he could reach with his current cultivation level. To make it grow further would require even more spiritual power. A higher realm was needed. However, after the breath soil grew to the limit of his current realm, he was already very satisfied. Since breath soil could change shape, he could turn it into a sword, a rope, or even a large hammer. Could transform into whatever was most handy. On Sunday noon, when Xiang Beifei was preparing to cook himself a meal, he heard a knock at the door. Opening the door, he found Lu Jiwei outside. "Ha! I'm on holiday now." Lu Jiwei snapped her fingers. "Oh." Xiang Beifei shrugged his shoulders. "I thought you would be more enthusiastic." Lu Jiwei pouted her lips. "Is there something you need?" Xiang Beifei inquired. "Don't you want to know who Su Yang is?" Lu Jiwei revealed a mysteriously cheeky smile. When she smiled, a sharp canine tooth showed. It was quite cute. "Did you guys find out?" Xiang Beifei inquired. "Not really. There are over 10,000 people named Su Yang in the Jizhou Alliance. The information you provided was too general. It's simply impossible to check one by one." Lu Jiwei shook her head. That was true. Apart from providing a name, Xiang Beifei hadn't given any other details. Of course, even if he had, it wouldn't have been much use. No one would reveal their own system, and it was unlikely they could be found based on their profile alone. Most importantly, the person's real name was Su Yang. But what if the name he was registered under was something else entirely? Didn't Uncle Lu bring the strange dog back that day to find someone awakened with a similar tracking system ability? Xiang Beifei asked. That's the issue here. That guy is very cunning. He knows how to hide his tracks. And we even have a detective with a super-sensitive nose who can't do anything about him. Lu Jiwei rarely showed such seriousness. So why did you come to me? If he can't find him, I'm even less likely to be able to, Xiang Beifei said, perplexed. With a face full of anticipation, Lu Jiwei asked, Did you see that person's face that day? Xiang Beif said after a moment of thought. It was too dark at the time and I couldn't see clearly, but I should be able to recognize him if I saw him again. He truly did not know what the person looked like, but he knew the other's system. A person can disguise themselves with various abilities, change their name and appearance, but the one thing they can't change is their system. For Xiang Beifei, it was about taking an extra glance in a sea of people. That's good then. Could you come with me? Perhaps the thief we are currently tracking is the same person who attacked you that day, Lu Jiwei said excitedly. Xiang Beifei looked at Lu Jiwei with a puzzled expression. A thief? He's the one ranked 67th on the Liangzhou wanted list. This person is too elusive. He's the only one on the list whose true face we don't know. He's even moved to our jurisdiction recently. The last time our department was chasing him, I deduced his route and found out that he passed right by the place where you were attacked that day. Then it hit me. Maybe the person who attacked you that day is him. Xiang Beifei thought for a moment and asked, You deduced this? Yes. With my meticulous analysis, exquisite discernment skills, and exceptional data integration ability, through a series of clever applications of logic, I have connected all these fragmented pieces of information together. Lu Jiwei went on and on excitedly. Is that so? Xiang Beifei nodded thoughtfully and then said, Then I won't go. Lu Jiwei was somewhat taken aback. Why? Because the likelihood is that whatever you deduce is wrong. I thought you knew that. Xiang Beifei earnestly looked at this girl who had become an apprentice to Detective Kagoro Mori. Lu Jiwei, you really have a way of speaking that doesn't endear you to others. Talking like that is how you end up not finding a girlfriend. Lu Jiwei rolled her eyes. Xiang Beifei didn't care. His own ability to control qi was only at an early stage, and though perhaps it was stronger than that of his peers, there was no need for him to jump into the fray and track down wanted criminals. Lu Jiwei sighed and said, Forget it if you won't go, I can't force you. Actually, this matter is quite risky. I originally told my dad that I wanted your help, but he didn't agree, saying you don't have any self-protection capabilities. Every suspect on the Liangzhou wanted list is dangerous, otherwise the reward wouldn't be so high. They have all sorts of weird abilities and often completely outmaneuver us. Wait, did you just say reward? Yes, but the reward is not the point. What matters are the criminals themselves. We still don't know about them. Okay, let's set off then. Xiang Beifei quickly grabbed the keys, walked out the door, and swiftly locked it. The whole process was done in one fluid motion. Lu Jiwei, isn't that change of heart a bit too fast? Why did you change your mind? Lu Jiwei stared at Xiang Beifei. Eliminating violence, promoting justice, is the duty of us as citizens of Jiuzhou, Xiang Beifei said seriously. Since when is your sense of justice so strong? Lu Jiwei looked at Xiang Beifei suspiciously. My sense of justice has always been strong, Xiang Beifei said. As long as there was money for his tuition fee, he'd carry justice through to the end. Even if the reward was a mere 500, it was still money to him and he wasn't picky. Lu Jiwei found it strange, but she was quite happy that Xiang Beifei had agreed to help. The two of them went downstairs together, with Lu Jiwei even humming a tune, seeming in a good mood. Halfway there, Xiang Beifei asked, "How much is the reward for the 67th name on the Liangzhou wanted list? If you provide clues, the reward is between 2,000 and 5,000 depending on the situation. With assistance in the capture, the reward is 20,000. If someone captures them alone, the reward is 150,000. Xiang Beifei's eyes lit up. If I help you catch him, can I have half? Xiang Beifei asked. I am a city guardian. Catching wanted criminals is part of my duty. The reward amount isn't important. If you really help me catch them, the reward is all yours. Lu Jiwei said generously. Decisive. Xiang Beifei recalled the matter from the day before yesterday when Lu Hong came to see him. Lu Hong was preoccupied with worry, linking Su Yang and a suspect he was trying to capture, and also equipped him with the Azure Light armor for protection. He asked, Does Uncle Lu think the thief is that Su Yang who attacked me that day? Yes. My dad has been working tirelessly to catch this thief for the past few days. Lu Jiwei nodded. Xiang Beifei had brightened a constellation using the Azure Light armor from Lu Hong yesterday. If possible, he wanted to help Lu Hong identify the criminal, as a way to repay the favor. After all, he was capable of seeing other people's systems. Tell me the details about the wanted criminal you're trying to catch, so I have an idea of what we're dealing with, Xiang Beifei said, then added, It's better if the information comes from what others have gathered. I don't want any of your own imaginative deductions. Remember, none of your own deductions. You really don't trust my deductive skills? Lu Jiwei said, hands on her hips. I've already experienced them last time, Xiang Beifei replied. An 11% accuracy rate, truly touching. Lu Jiwei rolled her eyes at Xiang Beifei, and then pulled out a crumpled piece of paper from her pocket and handed it to Xiang Beifei, saying, This guy, nicknamed Lai Wuying, likes to break into houses and steal. He has committed over 300 crimes here in Liangzhou and is very arrogant. The paper was an internal document from the law enforcement team, evidently sneaked out and copied by Lu Jiwei. The wanted notice didn't have a photo, not even a real name, height, weight, or any distinguishing features. The only characteristic was his habit of leaving the words Lai Wuying at the crime scene, seemingly to provoke the law enforcement officers on purpose. There are no clues here. How can you be sure he came to our jurisdiction? Xiang Beifei asked. That's an internal secret of our guardians. Well, it's not exactly a secret. We have a system awakener in our team who specializes in finding fugitives. The past few days, he has predicted that Lai Wuying is approaching our area. According to his prophecy, this awakener will be at Chenda Plaza this afternoon. Lu Jiwei explained. A prophetic system awakener? Xiang Beifei learned about prophetic system awakeners in the subject of synthesis. These awakeners with the ability to prophesy were extremely rare, but every single prophetic awakener was in high demand and never short of work. Usually, they were pre-booked by the official Jiuzhou Alliance, secure jobs indeed, since these people could predict the general direction of events. Having them around before undertaking dangerous operations provided an extra layer of reassurance. Xiang Beifei asked, Since he can prophesy, can't he see what Lai Wuying looks like? I don't understand the specifics, but my father mentioned the enigmatic nature of this ability. Prophets can only foresee within a certain range. Beyond that, they can't prophesy anymore. Lai Wuying just happened to enter our jurisdiction and got detected by him. And this ability, how should I put it? It has many limitations. What kind of limitations? I'm not clear on the details, but all he provided was an oracle, saying that it would happen this afternoon at Chenda Plaza. He didn't specify the exact time or where at Chenda Plaza. Lu Jiwei admitted only having a partial understanding of such things. This system seemed quite novel. Xiang Beifei was very intrigued to see it in action. He then asked, "Uncle Lu seems to take this fugitive very seriously?" He looked a bit off that day. Lu Jiwei hesitated for a moment before responding. "This matter involves one of my dad's dear friends, Chun Gang, who was the captain of the Eastern Liangzhou City Guard. A while back, when Lai Wuying hit his jurisdiction, he went after the thief and ended up getting killed. My dad can't let go of this and wants to catch Lai Wuying to bring him to justice, so his old friend can rest in peace." Xiang Beifei nodded thoughtfully. Lai Wuying really had guts, daring to target law enforcement officers. The two took a bus to Chenda Plaza. Today was Saturday, and Chenda Plaza was crowded with people out shopping and relaxing after a busy week. "All right, now you need to keep your eyes peeled and observe the people around here. Help me spot Su Yang's face. Just give me a signal, and I'll rush over and tackle him." Lu Jiwei cracked her knuckles and went up on her tiptoes, giving her long legs a quick stretch to warm up. Xiang Beifei wasn't here for Su Yang. To be honest, given Lu Jiwei's lamentable deductive skills, if she linked Lai Wuying with Su Yang, it almost guaranteed the two had nothing to do with each other. "Xiao Wei, why did you bring him here?" Before they could find a good spot to keep watch, Lu Hong suddenly emerged from the crowd and dragged them to a corner. "Dad, aren't I here to help you?" Lu Jiwei said with a giggly smile. Lu Hong knocked on Lu Jiwei's head, his voice low as he scolded. "Do you realize how serious this is? We're here on an undercover operation to make an arrest, not for you to fool around." "Uncle Lu, hello?" Xiang Beifei nodded politely in greeting. Lu Hong's face was stern. "Beifei, it's dangerous here. Go home." Then he knocked on Lu Jiwei's head again. Lu Jiwei touched her head in pain. Her eyes teary as she said, "Dad, don't you think this is all too coincidental? Look, the time Shui Mo made his prediction and the day Beifei was attacked were the same. I've analyzed that there must be a connection between them, which is why I brought him along. Besides, Dad, don't you also want to catch Lai Wuying to avenge your old friend? If Lai Wuying is Su Yang, who attacked Beifei, then surely Beifei would recognize him. You've got to trust my deductive skills for once." Xiang Beifei pretended not to hear Lu Jiwei's words and instead said to Lu Hong, "I can give it a try. I won't cause trouble. There are so many people here, he probably won't do anything to me. No one knows who Lai Wuying is or what he looks like, which makes the capture all the more difficult." But Xiang Beifei could see other people's systems, and if the prediction was accurate, he could scan the systems of everyone in the plaza and analyze those that were off. Lu Hong was silent for a long time. His old friend's death still weighed heavily on him. He wouldn't pass up any chance, however slight, to catch the murderer. If that's the case, then fine. But Beifei, you don't know anything, so don't wander off. Stay close by me with Xiao Wei. If you do see that person, don't yell out. Just tell me quietly," Lu Hong stated. "Okay." Xiang Beifei nodded. "Dad, why do you think he comes to Chenda Plaza? Is there anything here worth stealing for him?" Lu Jiwei checked her system interface in a secluded corner of the plaza. She recorded all the clues related to Lai Wuying in the memo of her system interface so that she could search for information with just a thought. But after looking through it, the conclusions she could draw were limited. There was too little information left by Lai Wuying. "We don't know yet. Maybe he's just passing through, or perhaps he's here for a heist. He's been provoking us, the Guardians, over and over again, and he's really brazen. This time we must bring him to justice." Lu Hong clenched his fist. Xiang Beifei inquired, "The book says that to predict something, you must have something related to the event. So what do you rely on to predict his moves?" Lu Hong replied, "We rely on the words he leaves behind. After every crime, he carves words into the crime scene, deep into the wood. Lai Wuying has not left any effective physical description to date. With over 300 crimes committed, even the gender is unknown. Each time only a line of words was left before leaving arrogantly. So, what do you think Lai Wuying's system might be? Xiang Beifei asked further. People from different jurisdictions have been chasing him for a long time. Initially, it's believed that he might have awakened a system like the invisibility system or the master thief, potentially possessing wall-penetrating and invisibility abilities. Lu Jiwei clarified from the side. These were just speculations. It was hard to say for sure since they couldn't see Lai Wuying's system. All right, Beifei, don't ask too many questions. You're just a high school senior. You must have activated your awakening system a few days ago, right? There's so much for you to learn. But now just stay to the side. This matter is very important to me. Lu Hong adjusted his glasses and walked to the fencing on one side. Here's a pair of glasses for you too. If you see that Su Yang who attacked you that night, you must report it immediately. Simply sliding your fingers along the big, long legs of the glasses can adjust the screen. Lu Jiwei stuffed a pair of police glasses into Xiang Beifei's hands. The lenses flickered with an imperceptible light, and while they looked like ordinary prescription glasses to the casual observer, they were actually advanced equipment, similar to cutting-edge AR devices, capable of freely adjusting focus and searching targets automatically. Xiang Beifei put on the glasses and then directed his gaze into the mall. With just a touch of his fingers to the legs of the glasses, the screen switched to the mall surveillance, which was very advanced. Each screen was quite clear and reflected the outlines of every person distinctly. Even through the surveillance, Xiang Beifei could see everyone's systems. For the capture of Lai Wuying this time, more than 20 undercover law enforcers had been deployed. These well-trained enforcers each disguised themselves as ordinary shoppers, virtually undetectable to the common person. But Xiang Beifei could spot them at a glance, mainly because their systems were too recognizable. The old man wearing a duckbill cap sitting in front of the elevator on the second floor, playing with a child, was not actually an old man at all, but a young law enforcer disguised as one. Host: Ma Feiguang. R-grade, undercover system. Realm: late Qi controlling. According to the system information, Ma Feiguang was only 21 years old. He used his undercover system to change his identity, with both the beard and wrinkles being effects of the system. And the waitress standing at the entrance of a restaurant on the other side, holding a menu and greeting customers, was also a law enforcer. Host: Chang Li. R-grade, combat system. Realm: late Qi controlling. Her task list showed a long line of completed missions, including winning the Spring Combat Championship in the law enforcement team and twice achieving runner-up in Liangzhou Police Qi-controlling freestyle fighting. The other law enforcement officers were easily identifiable, with various R-grade criminal investigation systems, R-grade detective systems, R-grade unyielding justice systems. Beifei quickly identified all the law enforcers in the crowd, giving him a sense of reassurance. However, in his opinion, capturing Lai Wuying was an act akin to finding a needle in a haystack. Given the vast crowd with no less than 1,000 customers, and with Lai Wuying never leaving behind any valid photographs, there was simply no way to determine who he actually was. But at that moment, a staid and urgent voice suddenly came from the glasses. "The cat is alive! The cat is alive?" Xiang Beifei was somewhat puzzled. The cat is alive. However, Lu Hong and Lu Jiwei looked at each other as though they were facing a great enemy. Lu Hong asked in a low voice, "Where?" "The third floor." The voice came from the glasses. "All units, pay attention. The cat is alive. Team 1, secure the entrances and exits. Teams 2 and 4 head to the elevator entrance. Team 3, be on alert." As the commander of this operation, Lu Hong rapidly issued orders. "Received. You too. Don't run around. Just stay here and don't make things worse." Lu Hong had just finished speaking to Lu Jiwei and Xiang Beifei when he quickly made his way up the emergency staircase. "Is the Cat Lives your operation code name?" asked Xiang Beifei. Lu Jiwei shook her head. "It's not exactly an operation code name. It's Xiao Shui's ability. He constantly mumbles about whether his cat is alive or dead. Xiao Shui. That's the prophet I told you about. Xiao Shui actually keeps a cat, although he's male. But to get back to the point, his cat is pretty mysterious. Lu Jiwei gently rubbed the stem of her glasses and shifted the view on her glasses to the third-floor surveillance, then quickly searched for people on the third floor. After a moment, she froze the picture outside a clothing store on the third floor. Lu Hong was standing there, pretending to look at the clothes on a plastic dummy outside the clothing store. Beside him stood a pale-faced young man holding a shoebox. He occasionally opened the shoebox to take a peek inside, as if he were looking at a new pair of shoes he had just bought. He's our prophet who foretold Lai Wuying would be at this mall. Lu Jiwei swiftly adjusted the surveillance screen and said to Xiang Beifei, "What are you waiting for?" Xiao Shui on the third floor said, "The cat lives," which means Lai Wuying might appear on the third floor. "Hurry up and see if you can find the person you saw last night." Xiang Beifei was more curious about this young man now. He really wanted to know what sort of system a person with the ability to prophesy had awakened. But before he could get a good look, the young man had already turned and entered the staircase, and a distant sigh came from the glasses. "The cat is dead. Everyone, pay attention. Xiao Shui's cat is dead." Lu Hong quickly steadied the stem of his glasses and repeated the statement gravely. "The cat lives? The cat is dead?" Xiang Beifei suddenly seemed to understand what this young man's system was. As the young man walked towards the second floor, Xiang Beifei could clearly see the man's system through his glasses, and he couldn't help but marvel. Host, Shui Mo, S-grade, Schrodinger's cat system, realm, early stage of meridian opening. Schrodinger's cat is a very famous experiment in quantum theory. A cat is placed in a box with a toxic substance, controlled by radioactive decay. Since it's unknown when the radioactive substance will decay, it's also uncertain whether the cat will be poisoned to death. Whether the cat is dead or alive remains undetermined until the box is opened. In short, if you don't do something, you will never know the specific result, but if you do it, you will find out what the result is. In other words, there's an uncertainty in anything that could happen, but your participation will directly intervene in the outcome. Shui Mo's system relies on checking whether the cat is dead or alive to find the most probable outcome of a particular situation. This is the principle his system uses to make predictions. At that moment, Shui Mo's system interface was densely packed with various quantum theory formulas, which were rapidly changing, performing complex calculations with Shui Mo's intervention. His formulas required two constants, namely 0 and 1. Each time he arrived at a general area, he would lift the lid of the shoebox to check whether his cat was dead or alive. If the cat in the shoebox was dead, he would insert 0 into the formula, and if the cat was still alive, he would insert 1. He would then use those strange formulas in combination with the location coordinates and the current time to simulate the most likely event to happen nearby through the system. No wonder those old witches who could prophesy in fairy tales always liked keeping a cat. It's because of this reason. Xiang Beifei couldn't help but mutter, "Fairy tales do not deceive me." Shui Mo walked back from the third floor to the second floor and approached Beifei. After a pause, he stopped, looked around, then lowered his head, lifted a corner of the shoebox, and a trace of puzzlement appeared on his face. Lu Hong, who had been following beside him, looked very anxious. He urgently asked, "Brother Shui, is the cat here dead or alive? Where exactly is Lai Wuying?" Shui Mo glanced into the shoebox again, his puzzlement deepening. After a moment, he asked softly, "Where's my cat?" Lu Hong was stunned and asked, "What do you mean your cat? Isn't your cat inside the shoebox?" "It's gone." Shui Mo shook his head. "Is it dead?" "No, it's not dead." Shui Mo looked around and couldn't find his cat anywhere. "My cat. Where is it?" Shui Mo repeated, appearing somewhat slow. "Ah? How can you say it's gone just like that?" But I didn't see your cat run out of the shoebox either." Lu Hong was even more anxious than Shui Mo. Whether they could catch Lai Wuying this time depended entirely on the life and death of Shui Mo's cat. "Brother Shui, can your cat still run away from home?" Lu Jiwei asked curiously. Shuemo shook his head in confusion. He himself didn't understand. Such a thing had never happened before. Everyone, hurry up and help look for Shuemo's cat. Lu Hong adjusted his glasses and spoke urgently. The plainclothes law enforcers looked baffled at this command. They were supposed to come and arrest Lai Wuying, but all of a sudden, they were preparing to search for a cat. While Beifei found it strange, he suddenly realized something, turned his head, and then couldn't help but cry and laugh. Xiaohei was on his shoulder, viciously beating up a little calico cat, furiously attacking. Xiaohei, what are you doing? Woof, woof, woof. Xiaohei proudly pinned the little calico cat under its foot. You're saying it was spying on us? Beifei understood that probably while trying to predict using the cat, Shuemo must have inadvertently predicted his own, and Xiaohei just took the opportunity to catch Shuemo's cat. After all, Shuemo's cat was generated by the system. We look so good. It's no blame for wanting to watch. Beifei told Xiaohei. Just warn it and let it go. We still need it to find people, dead or alive. The other cat's life was already tough. Every day hovering on the edge of life and death. It was quite pitiful. Woof! Xiaohei warned it to mind its gaze in the future and then threw the pitiful little calico cat out, which flashed in midair and disappeared. Ah, the cat is here. Shuemo found his little cat in the tissue box outside a milk tea shop, the kitty trembling and meowing helplessly as it lay in the tissue box. The cat is alive. Lu Hong was thrilled, even more excited than Shuemo. Shuemo quickly comforted his little calico cat, and then placed it back in the shoebox. But why? Lu Jiwei, stroking her chin beside him, was seriously pondering something. What's wrong? Xiang Beifei asked. I'm wondering why Xiao Shue's cat disappeared just now. With growing excitement, Lu Jiwei speculated for a moment and then said, I've got it. This must have something to do with Lai Wuying. He might have sensed that someone was predicting his moves, so he kidnapped Xiao Shue's cat. I'm sure my deduction is right this time. This girl will probably never reach a 20% accuracy rate in her deductions. But on the other side, Lu Hong and Shuemo both turned around, seriously considering Lu Jiwei's words. Right, that's very possible. Lu Hong nodded. He then urged impatiently, Unit 2, pay attention. Xiao Shue's cat was lost on the second floor just now. Lai Wuying must have passed through the second floor. Everyone, stay alert. This was awkward. He had misled them all. Xiang Beifei was thinking about how to rectify the situation. He looked towards Shuemo. Shuemo, who had not been part of the discussion for a long while, glanced again at the cat inside the shoebox and sadly said, The cat is dead. All units, be advised. The cat is dead. Lu Hong slapped his thigh in deep sorrow. But soon, Shuemo's expression brightened again. The cat is alive. All units, be advised. The cat is alive. Lu Hong got excited again. Xiang Beifei. For some reason, he always felt this group seemed a bit foolish. Xiang Beifei shook his head slightly, thinking that relying on them to catch Lai Wuying was too difficult. Lai Wuying had been running amok in various jurisdictions of Liangzhou, committing crimes everywhere. Law enforcers in each jurisdiction were eager to apprehend him, but without exception, all had failed. This time, he popped into their jurisdiction, and Shuemo predicted his crime location. Without much preparation, Lu Hong and the others came to execute the capture operation, relying only on Shuemo's abilities. At Lu Hong's side, Shuemo's capabilities determined the success or failure of the mission. Shuemo's system was still not perfect. To enhance the precision of his predictions, he needed to undertake more missions and enhance his level. Perhaps in the future, if his skills improve, he might become a great prophet, but certainly not now. Currently, he could only predict that Lai Wuying would come here, but he could not predict the exact location of his appearance, nor could he predict what Lai Wuying looked like or why he came here. This brought too much uncertainty to the capture operation. Lu Jiwei, standing on the shopping mall railing, sighed and nudged Xiang Beifei with her elbow, asking, Beifei, any clues? No, I feel like your operation is doomed to be futile if it continues this way, Xiang Beifei said. Lu Jiwei turned her head to look at the anxious Lu Hong and said, Actually, I kind of knew this, but capturing Lai Wuying is very important to my dad. I think he'll be really down for a long time if this operation fails, and he probably won't give up. This isn't to say the law enforcers are incompetent. If it were just an ordinary petty thief, someone like Lu Hong with an S-level investigation system would have already caught him. If one had to explain, it should be said that Lai Wuying had a somewhat superior ability to deal with law enforcers. After all, a criminal worthy of being on Liangzhou's most wanted list is no ordinary person. Lai Wuying has been so brazen, making all the law enforcers run around in circles, surely because he has obtained some information on how to counter these law enforcers, and most likely his system abilities are very tricky. And this system might be one that counters law enforcers, probably also S-level. But the problem is, until now, the law enforcers haven't collected any effective information about him. They don't even know what he looks like. If they don't figure out what this system is, even if they find Lai Wuying, he will still escape, relying on the cat's death and revival. Shui Mo and Lu Hong, like a living cat and a dead cat, walked an entire circle around the shopping mall. Not only did they fail to identify any suspicious individuals, but they also exhausted themselves in the process. No gains at all. Have any of you found any clues? Lu Hong asked anxiously. However, several negative responses came through the communicator in succession. A law enforcer hesitated before saying, Captain, we're practically doing futile work here. I think we should head back and plan thoroughly. No. We must catch Lai Wuying. If we miss this chance, it might be very hard to catch him next time. We cannot give up. Lu Hong clenched his fists. Captain, I know you want to avenge Captain Chun, but this is not just about personal enmity. Capturing a fugitive is our duty as city law enforcers. Lu Hong commanded gravely. The other law enforcers dared not say more. Catching Lai Wuying wasn't on Lu Hong's system task list. His actions were not for the sake of a system task, but purely because he couldn't swallow the insult. Xiang Beifei was constantly changing his visual perspective in the mall, yet he saw nothing. He took off his glasses. Wearing them made him uncomfortable. But at that moment, a very peculiar person caught Xiang Beifei's eyes. It was a woman in high heels, carrying an exquisite leather bag, with a curvy figure and wavy hair, very beautiful, appearing as if she was there to shop. Xiang Beifei found this woman peculiar because he saw her system interface. Host, Chun Gang, S-level, Thousand Faces refined system, realm, Meridian opening early phase, Thousand Faces refined system introduction. Able to learn others' ways of handling affairs, can disguise as anyone. Why does this woman seem so strange? Xiang Beifei wondered. A woman who looked stunning, yet carried the name of a male? Could she be the target? Xiang Beifei couldn't be sure, as during this age, a man dressing as a woman wasn't illegal, and it wasn't enough to suspect someone for that reason alone. But why does this name feel so familiar? A flash of light crossed Xiang Beifei's mind. He remembered that Lu Jiwei had just mentioned a similar name. Hey, Lu Jiwei. Xiang Beifei pulled Lu Jiwei aside. What's up? You just mentioned the captain of the law enforcement team who was killed by Lai Wuying, Uncle Lu's friend, the captain of the guard team in the East District. What was his name? Xiang Beifei asked. Chun Gang, why do you ask? Lu Jiwei asked, puzzled. Xiang Beifei's heart skipped a beat. Was it a coincidence of identical names? He was an S-level awakener, right? Yes, one of the best among S-levels, very powerful. He used to be my role model, Lu Jiwei said with respect. What type of system did his abilities relate to? Xiang Beifei asked. Lu Jiwei touched her chin, thought for a moment and said, hard to say. His abilities were strong in tracking, identification, among other areas. Criminals hardly had any chance to escape from him. Honestly, I have a hard time believing that Lai Wuying could have defeated him. Xiang Beifei pondered for a moment, then asked, how good was his ability to disguise? Disguise ability? Has he ever done any undercover work or the like? Xiang Beifei asked. Undercover? Oh, I can't tell you that. It's a secret of the law enforcement team. Lu Jiwei said earnestly. That settled it. Xiang Beifei took 2 steps towards the woman, looked at her system interface, which also displayed her current task. Task: become the captain of the city guard again. Options to complete the task. 1. Strive on your own, starting as a junior detective. 2. Assassinate the captain of the guard and impersonate him. Your current choice to complete the task. Assassinate Lu Hong and impersonate him. Task reminder: Lu Hong is an S-class awakener with strong recognition abilities. You must successfully impersonate everyone around him once. Gather information about Lu Hong from them, and integrate it into your 1,000 Faces/Moon. Note: any person's information integrated into 1,000 Faces/Moon. It will become a lethal move specifically against that person. Reward for successful impersonation: 1,000 Faces/Moon, targeted at Lu Hong. The more information about Lu Hong you collect, the higher the success rate. Reward for successful task completion. Receive an advanced pill, capable of stepping into the mid-stage of meridian opening. This. Xiang Beifei was shocked. Lu Hong sat gloomily on a mall bench, looking dejected. He held a photo in his hand, which showed 2 men. One of them was him, the other man was bulky, with bronze skin even stronger than Lu Hong. At that time, they seemed quite young, perhaps having just completed a capture, the criminal task. Their faces still bearing wounds, yet they looked exhilarated. Uncle Lu. Xiang Beifei walked over, looked at the photo and said, "This person is..." Lu Hong looked at the photo. A bitter smile emerged. "His name is Chun Gang, the captain of the law enforcement team in the East District. A very upright person. Just like his name, very righteous. Always rushing at the forefront when capturing criminals. And many times he helped me out of danger. We had been through many capture missions together, supporting each other, came all the way together. The day I heard he died while capturing Lai Wuying, I really found it hard to accept. He always seemed to have a way out." Lu Hong's eyes showed a trace of melancholy. Xiang Beifei stared at the man in the photo, then turned towards the woman in the red dress. Is this woman really Chun Gang? Why would his system task be to kill Lu Hong? "Uncle Lu, are you sure he's dead?" Xiang Beifei asked. Lu Hong looked up at Xiang Beifei. "What I mean is, he's so capable, and it normally would be very difficult for Lai Wuying to kill him, so how exactly did Lai Wuying manage to kill him? Captain Chen's body must have sustained fatal wounds. Uncle Lu, with your strong identification skills, can't you deduce Lai Wuying's method of killing from those wounds?"
Luong Siged.
Lai Wuying is extremely cruel, using bizarre methods. Right before my eyes, he blew Chun Gang. Lu Hong's fingers clutching the photo trembled slightly, almost hissing out 2 words. "To smithereens!" That is to say, Chun Gang left no intact body after his death. Xiang Beifei faintly sensed something amiss about this matter. Lai Wuying, all these years, has never left any trace of his appearance. No matter how hard the law enforcers try to catch him, they can't find the slightest clue, which is unreasonable, because the law enforcement team is full of experts, unless he knew every move of all law enforcers like the back of his hand. The city guards, a department full of hidden dragons and crouching tigers, where most of the law enforcers are elites, their systems nearly all designed for capturing criminals. Yet in such a place, teeming with countless elites, there's still a criminal who left behind no trace of his appearance. Given that, even the top fugitive on the wanted list at least had his silhouette captured. Thus, the most likely possibility is only one. A series of guesses gradually connected together in Xiang Beifei's mind. But for now, these were just guesses with no way to confirm them. Xiang Beifei needed to consider one thing, if his conjecture was correct. How should he relay this matter to Lu Hong? It would be impossible for Xiang Beifei to directly say the person was Chun Gang. Lu Hong wouldn't believe him, and neither would others trust the words of an unfounded high school student. After all, in this world, only he could see other people's systems. Lu Hong and the others couldn't see them. Revealing it directly might expose his own ability, which would be too reckless. Then just report this Chun Gang as Su Yang to them. Xiang Beifei stared at the woman who had already stepped onto the escalator. He nudged Lu Jiwei with his elbow and whispered, "I see a suspicious person. Is it Su Yang? Where?" Lu Jiwei immediately perked up. "That one, wearing a red dress and high heels. She is heading towards the escalator to the 3rd floor." Xiang Beifei pointed towards the 2nd floor where Chun Gang was and said. Lu Jiwei asked quizzically, "The woman in the red dress and high heels, Su Yang is a man, isn't he?" "He's disguised himself, but I can vaguely make out his silhouette," Xiang Beifei said. Upon hearing this, Lu Jiwei caught on. "Where?" "Over by the stairs." Lu Jiwei looked for a long time without moving and asked doubtfully, "Where is the woman in red high heels?" "Right there. In front of her is an old lady, and behind her is a boy wearing headphones. She's standing between these two people," Xiang Beifei said. "There's no one between them," Lu Jiwei said. "What are you looking at?" "There's clearly someone there." "Wait, you can't see her." Xiang Beifei found it strange and ran over to Lu Hong, asking, "Uncle Lu, can you see the woman wearing the red dress and high heels?" "Where?" Lu Hong searched for a while but also couldn't see the person Xiang Beifei mentioned. How can they not see her? A multitude of thoughts flashed through Xiang Beifei's mind. What went wrong? At that moment, a little girl with ice cream walked by. Xiang Beifei stopped the little girl and asked, "That woman in the red dress? Can you see her?" "Of course, I can see her. Big brother, do you like her?" The little girl naively asked. "I don't," Xiang Beifei replied. "If you don't like her, why are you asking me? I thought you wanted to give me candy in exchange for me to help you get her phone number." The little girl looked at Xiang Beifei with confusion, then turned her gaze to the woman climbing the stairs. "Xiang Beifei, are little girls nowadays so direct?" Xiang Beifei shifted his focus back to that person. "Why can't law enforcers see this woman but other people can?" Xiang Beifei looked at Lu Jiwei and Lu Hong, and then at the glasses in his hand. He suddenly had an idea. He had been unaccustomed to wearing glasses, so he had taken them off. While the other law enforcers all shared a distinct feature, they were all still wearing glasses. Xiang Beifei quickly put on his glasses as well. The moment he put on the glasses, that woman, in Xiang Beifei's eyes, had only a system interface left, and her entire being was gone, as if she had turned invisible. He searched again for the introduction to the Thousand Faces refined system, and under the system interface he found another line of text. Ability can block any tracking device, making people unable to see. The user can choose whether it affects electronic devices or not. No wonder. Xiang Beifei furrowed his brows. If this was indeed Lai Wuying, that would explain it. The reason he could brazenly pass by the law enforcers was because he had a way to make their high-tech glasses ineffective. Is this Chun Gang really Lai Wuying? Xiang Beifei grew increasingly astonished at the thought. After all, Lu Hong had an S-class investigation system with extremely sharp observation skills, yet during this operation, he seemed to be led by the nose, having detected nothing and completely reliant on Schwermo. Initially, Xiang Beifei pondered the reason for this, but now he was starting to understand. If Lai Wuying truly was an old friend of Lu Hong's, then he would definitely know how to evade Lu Hong's investigation system. Chun Gang had Lu Hong figured out, keenly aware of his investigative capabilities, which is why he deliberately chose the weekend at the mall as the place. Because there were many people in the mall, even if Chun Gang left some traces, the ongoing stream of customers walking by could easily destroy the clues on the ground, resulting in Lu Hong's investigation system being unable to track accurately. If the outcome was as Xiang Beifei suspected, then this Lai Wuying must have an intimate grasp of the various investigative techniques used by the law enforcement team. Because he was one of the law enforcers. Xiang Beifei immediately tugged at Lu Jiwei and said, "Take off the glasses." "Take off the glasses for what? How can we find Su Yang without wearing the glasses?" Lu Jiwei asked. "There's no time to explain now, just take them off." Xiang Beifei turned his head to look at the second floor's escalator again, but his heart skipped a beat. In the blink of an eye, the woman in the red dress had vanished. Where did she go? Xiang Beifei rapidly searched his surroundings. This time, he couldn't even see the system interface and hadn't noticed where the other party had hidden. However, at that moment, an urgent voice suddenly came through the communicator. Captain Liu, I've spotted a suspicious person on the 4th floor. He attacked one of our guys. The 4th floor. Lu Hong, who had been sitting, stood up abruptly and rushed toward the 4th floor without a word. Wait, he's not on the 4th floor. Xiang Beifei yelled after him. Xiao Wei, you and Beifei stay here and don't move. All units take note. Meet up with Squad 4 and myself. The other teams guard all entrances to the mall. Lu Hong was desperate to catch the suspect and did not listen to Xiang Beifei, dashing quickly to the 4th floor. Lu Jiwei too wanted to follow, but Xiang Beifei grabbed her just in time. Stop messing around. I'm going to catch the criminal. Lu Jiwei was rubbing her fists with a fierce expression, ready to deliver a fatal blow to the criminal. He's not on the 4th floor, Xiang Beifei said. Lu Jiwei asked, what do you mean he's not on the 4th floor? Our people there were attacked. Xiang Beifei shouted lowly. He's creating a diversion. Just protect me for now. I saw the criminal on the 2nd floor. Lu Jiwei was confused, her straightforward mind unable to comprehend Xiang Beifei's words. He quickly realized that being just a student and rashly intervening in such an operation, the others would not believe what he said. Xiang Beifei took off his glasses and searched for a while, and at this time, he saw a man in a suit emerge from around the corner. This man in the suit was someone Xiang Beifei remembered as a member of the law enforcement team, named Wang He, with an R-class detective system. However, the system interface of the man in the suit read something entirely different. Host, Chun Gang, S-class, 1,000 faces refined system. This guy, he's disguised as Wang He. Xiang Beifei's gaze became slightly more focused. Chun Gang's target was to kill Lu Hong, but he had to first gather knowledge about Lu Hong from the people around him to increase his chances of a deadly strike against Lu Hong. In that case, he would strike the other law enforcers first. At this moment, Chun Gang had already approached Ma Feiguang on the 2nd floor, who was disguised as an old man. Xiao Ma. Chun Gang could choose whether to block the tracking devices, and to learn from Ma Feiguang, he did not use this ability, so Ma Feiguang could see him even though he was wearing glasses. Wang He, how did you get here? Weren't you guarding the west staircase? Ma Feiguang did not realize that the Wang He in front of him was Chun Gang in disguise. A line of text appeared on Chun Gang's system interface. You have learned Ma Feiguang's accent. Voice Material Library +1. There's Luo Shan at the west staircase. Xiaoma, you need to head to the north stairway. I just discovered there's actually another intersection there we all missed, and it's unguarded, Chun Gang said. What? That shouldn't be. We've checked all the entrances to the mall. I remember there's none at the north, Ma Feiguang said.
No intersection?
Can't we create an entrance? Have you forgotten who we are dealing with? Why do you think he appeared silently on the 4th floor? Chun Gang said. Ma Feiguang realized and said, are you saying that the entrance on the north side was created by Lai Wuying? Everyone had their own system, and they had suspected that Lai Wuying had the ability to create entrances and exits, which was the only explanation for how Lai Wuying always managed to vanish when cornered. Then I'll head there now. Ma Feiguang turned and ran towards the north side. I'll come with you. Chun Gang followed Ma Feiguang, and another line of text appeared on his system interface. You have learned Ma Feiguang's movement habits. Body Language Library +1. Chun Gang's running movements gradually matched Ma Feiguang's, making their strides and movements identical. But when Ma Feiguang turned a corner and ran to the north side of the mall, he found only a wall in front of him. There's no entrance. Did it disappear? Just as Ma Feiguang was about to turn around, Chun Gang's palm struck the back of Ma Feiguang's head, causing him to lose consciousness immediately. Originally disguised as Wang He, Chun Gang slowly crouched down and reached out to touch Ma Feiguang. You have learned Ma Feiguang's appearance, your appearance material library +1. You have accessed Ma Feiguang's knowledge about Lu Hong, 1,000 Faces /Moon, targeting Lu Hong, Kill rate is 7%. Qian Gang sneered, and his suit seemed to melt, lighting up with trails of blue light, and in a blink of an eye, he had transformed into Ma Feiguang. By the time Xiang Beifei arrived, Qian Gang had already disappeared. He found Ma Feiguang amongst a pile of cardboard boxes. Fortunately, he was just unconscious and still had vital signs. This guy is so fast. Xiang Beifei tried to wake Ma Feiguang, but was not successful. Qian Gang's goal was only to kill Lu Hong and then disguise himself as Lu Hong. Naturally, he couldn't kill Lu Hong's followers if he was to replace him. Meanwhile, Lu Jiwei also hurried over. Hey, Xiang Beifei, don't run off. Huh? Isn't this? Lu Jiwei was startled when she saw Ma Feiguang lying on the ground. How could Xiao Ma end up like this? He's been attacked. Xiang Beifei stood up. Attacked? Are you talking about Lai Wuying? When Lu Jiwei heard this, she didn't panic, and although her reasoning skills were terrible, her training as a law enforcer was still evident. She quickly shouted into the communicator, Captain, this is Lu Jiwei. Something unusual on the second floor. Xiao Ma has been attacked. Xiao Ma was attacked on the second floor? When did Lai Wuying get to the second floor? Wait there. I'll be right over. Lu Hong replied in a deep voice. However, no sooner had he spoken than another voice rang out from the earpiece. Captain, I'm on the third floor and I just saw him take down Zhao Li. Did he attack someone on the second floor and then immediately run up to the third? I'll be right there. Lu Hong had almost run back to the second floor, but upon hearing this, he immediately turned and ran toward the third floor. Beifei, go to Shuimo and stay with him. Don't run around. I'm going to help, Lu Jiwei said. Xiang Beifei didn't move. He was wearing glasses, quickly scanning the entire mall. Soon, he spotted Qian Gang at the men's clothing store on the first floor. Not that he actually saw Qian Gang himself, he only saw Qian Gang's system panel. You disguised yourself as Luo Shan. Successfully deceived the law enforcers. Disguise ability plus 20. You accessed Luo Shan's perception of Lu Hong. Thousand Faces / Moon, specifically against Lu Hong, has a lethal chance of 18%. In just a couple of minutes, Qian Gang had already disguised himself as several law enforcers. The Thousand Faces refined system was truly powerful. Xiang Beifei didn't chase after him. Even if he did, he couldn't possibly capture Qian Gang, who was a practitioner of Meridian Opening and not someone he could contend with. He had to think of another plan. Qian Gang's system mission was clear, needing first to learn about Lu Hong from those familiar with him, and then use the targeted lethal technique to kill Lu Hong and take his place. He had Lu Hong running around just to complete other tasks first, while incidentally draining Lu Hong's energy. If he ultimately plans to kill Uncle Lu, then all I need to do is stay with Uncle Lu. But how do I tell him about this? Xiang Beifei knew that Lu Hong would not listen to him at this time. Lu Hong was very agitated at the moment, wanting to catch Lai Wuying to avenge his old friend Qian Gang. Even if Xiang Beifei told Lu Hong that Lai Wuying was actually Qian Gang, Lu Hong would definitely not believe it. Apart from himself being able to identify the disguised Qian Gang, no one else could distinguish him. His claim would seem too implausible, and Qian Gang could disguise himself as any law enforcer. He had also accessed others' perceptions, making it difficult to find flaws. He certainly couldn't say he was able to see what Qian Gang's system was. It was clear that Xue Mo's cat prophecy wasn't very accurate and couldn't provide much help to Xiang Beifei. At the moment, Xiang Beifei was the only one who could pinpoint who Qian Gang was disguised as. How can I break his disguise? Xiang Beifei planned to first figure out the weaknesses of the Thousand Faces refined system. Qian Gang was continuing to move forward, about to walk into a blind spot of the mall's surveillance. But Xiang Beifei promptly found some precautions on the Thousand Faces refined system panel. The Thousand Faces refined can learn and disguise as anyone, but following are flaws of this system. Please be aware. I see. So that's it. Looking at the flaws reminder of the Thousand Faces refined system, Xiang Beifei was somewhat surprised. A plan gradually formed in his mind.